Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now in session for this regular meeting scheduled Tuesday, January 7th. Happy New Year to everyone. It's good to see you all here this morning. Before we get started, I will say we're going to do our agenda a little bit differently today. We discussed it and voted on it the last meeting to do items on consent. So that's different for us. We're going to have grace for ourselves, and we're going to give grace to everyone else as we work through and try to improve our process. Not that anything was wrong with it, but we're just always seeking to improve. That's what New Year's are about, right? Trying to do something different, at least for the first 2 weeks. So with that being said, we're going to get started. Commissioner Croom, can you lead some prayer and pledge?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for putting us in the position we're in to help serve and lead this county. We thank you for this new year, and we pray for a prosperous one. And Lord, we ask that you be with loved ones that are suffering or lost. We ask you for continuous guidance and protection. In the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Morone, there's nothing to be added to the agenda this morning, is there?
No, nothing to be added. I just want to verify a text. So James from, James from Baker Tilly. He
Yes.
has a 10 o'clock call. Hopefully it shouldn't last too long. So as soon as he hops on, he'll be available anytime for you. But he may not be at 10 o'clock if we even get to him at that point. It was hard for me to judge commissioners because with the new format starting
Yes.
today, it was kind of hard for me to tell him whether or not we'll be ready for him at 10 or not. Okay?
So we might have to go past him to some other stuff.
Yes.
What you're saying.
Yes, we will. And in front of you, I put some in the back. Mrs. Griffith, she updated her report. Not that she added any new items, but she just added some more language, tweaked some of the language that was already there in that report.
Okay.
I will run to the back in a minute after we get started to update it online. So if anybody's watching online, if everybody hits refresh, it'll be there. But if that's not there yet, so
Yeah.
give me a few minutes.
It'll say updated report, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
it will. Okay?
And Michael, just to clarify, so what we've already been talking about here this morning, when we get to that report, if there's nothing that commissioners want to pull and discuss individually, then we will be approving all those items on consent.
Yes, so even earlier than that, so yes.
Yes.
So the way I explained it to your directors, to your staff, to Attorney Schuler, and to even those like Mr. John Solomon, Mr. Steve Kirschenbaum, that basically they format their reports in order of action first, discussion second, and informational last. They will, when you call them up to the podium, they'll stand, present their report, and a commissioner, any of the commissioners could decide what item will be discussed. With the exception, of course, of discussion items, that's where they need your input on a decision they may have to make in the future.
Right.
But yes, so you guys basically will look at their report. You can pass all their action items in one motion. If you want to pull an action item, that is your choice. You pull it out of that motion, you pass all the others, discuss that one, and then pass that one individually.
Right.
And that will also run it over into your planning and zoning that we will be doing at your next meeting.
Right.
So same format loosely like you. I love the term you used, the grace. There will be
Yes.
some grace for this
Yes,
first
sorry.
few meetings till we get
Yes.
it down packed. But I think once we get it down packed, we'll flow really smoothly.
So let me ask you, just to clarify. So are we treating each individual department director as their own report? Because only one has action.
Yes, as for now, I would recommend
Okay.
in the beginning we do that, and maybe in the future it becomes one gigantic consent
Okay.
agenda with all action items being approved, and then discussion items for anybody else afterwards.
Okay, sounds
But
good.
we'll treat them individually for right now.
All right. But there, since, so the agenda has been published and posted, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Amison. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous, 5-0, Ms. Jessica. Next, we're paying the county bills.
So move.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward. Second from Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion, Commissioners? Under discussion, I will say, I was quizzing Ms. Aaron last night at 8 o'clock about some of the items there, and some of our constitutionals receive quarterly disbursements instead of monthly. So I was like, hey, well, this is way different. But anyway, so if y'all saw that, that's what it was. That's why the monies looked so different.
So
In-
big, is that what you're saying?
No, just different. I didn't say big, I just said different. I've been married too long for you to put words in my mouth. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous. All right, up next, Mr. Terry Tipton, property appraiser. It's good to have you here this morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Happy New Year. My name is Terry Tipton Jr., and I'm excited to be the next property appraiser, and I'm excited to serve Franklin County. I want you all to know that I appreciate you all, and I look forward to working with you all in the future. This is a county that we all love. I do want to mention just a few things that the property appraiser's office does. We track ownership changes. We maintain maps of parcel boundaries. We keep descriptions of buildings and land details. We accept and approve applications for exemptions. And as of today, there are 3,385 active homestead exemption parcels in Franklin County. The total market value in Franklin County is over $6 billion. So who keeps up with all this work? My office and my staff. And I want to give a huge thank you to everyone in my office: Casey Nash, Joseph Farrell, Brenda Benjamin, Stephanie Smith, Megan Shiver, Heather Carroll, Aaron Polk. Combined with my 23 years, we have 157 years of appraisal experience in the property appraiser's office, and that's something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
Thank you all. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Congratulations,
Chairman,
sir.
can I say something real
Yes,
quick?
you can.
I didn't get to say this at your swearing in, but I wanted to say, Terry, you and I go way back, 6th grade, 7th grade, went to prom together one year. We've grown up together. We hung out together. I could share some stories,
Don't
but
tell
I don't
everything.
want to share stories.
She spelled the T.
But I just want to say that I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
My fellow classmate, class of 97, Apalachicola High School, representing Franklin County, and I look forward to working with you. And congratulations on your election and your future as a property appraiser for Franklin
Thank you
County.
very much.
Congratulations, Terry.
Thank
We're
you.
all proud of you, Terry.
Thank you, Ms. Sherrill.
We're all proud of you. We know you're gonna do a good job, too.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, up next, Miss Amy Cook, tax collector.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for your support, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. I don't have a speech made. I may talk better or speak better when I just speak from my heart. I do have an amazing staff that I've had the pleasure of working with for the last 29 years. In June, it'll be 30 years. So what a way to bring in my 30 years is to be your next tax or our tax collector. I do want to introduce for just a second my assistant tax collector, Miss Sarah Carter, my new finance director, Miss Link Collins. Now, we did have some things that come up. Me and Mr. Watson had talked previously before I took office about going ahead and having an audit done, just policies and procedures, and make sure books and checks and balance those things. Some discrepancies have come up, but we were able to find out where that was and take care of that. We do have something that Aaron's going to bring towards the board to ask for your help in taking care of that. Along also, you do know that we had a lot of flood damage in my office, and I do thank you for taking the time to coming in and looking at the office and the different things that we needed addressed. Another thing is we need a handicap accessible desk. We do not have that in my office. When people come in, it's going to be a little bit of a change when people come in, but we're working to do what's better for our people, and it's going to take us to the next step. It's been a little hard the first couple weeks of my office term, but we look forward to serving the people, making it a better place for Franklin County and the people. So I just want to thank you all.
Anyone have anything?
Mr. Chairman, just Amy, you and I also go way back. third cousin by marriage, but nonetheless, congratulations to your election, and I look forward to working with you as well in your office, staff.
You know, I do. I've known all of you growing up. My husband worked with Mr. Croom. I grew up with Mr. Amison, Ricky. He and I drove back and forth to dances. Mama would take us back and forth. I would share about Ricky's dance moves, but I'm not going to do that on him.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. And Miss Cheryl, you know I love you. And Jessica, I thank you for everything, all the phone calls that I was able to make and just vent. Michelle, I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And Terry, I know that people, they were saying that, you know, tax collectors and property appraisers didn't get along, but we don't understand that because we've all always gotten along. So we've been blessed with that. We have truly been blessed.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Also, the clerk, add the clerk in it because they always
I
say,
did, I said Michelle.
the clerk and the board, you're
Yeah,
always
no,
fighting."
that's
We
why I don't
never fight.
understand that.
We never fight over
No.
nothing because we're right in sync with each other. That's the way we are in
That is.
Franklin County.
That's
But
home.
the thing I wanted to say is, I want you to know that I appreciate you coming in. Thank you, Mr. Rick, again for your years of service.
Absolutely.
Not only as a tax collector, but a county commissioner too. I was able to serve with you, and you did pretty good. You sure did. And but anyway, Amy, always remember, and I know you do. Also with Terry, always remember the value of that annex over in Caravelle
Absolutely.
and what it represents to the people in the eastern side of the county. It means that they don't have to drive all the way to Appalachia to take care of the county business. And
Absolutely.
if we could just get the driver's license there, we'd be all right. But we already have the concealed weapons and all
Yes.
that. But thank you and we look forward to you growing in the tax collector's seat and doing good things for the county.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
while Ms. Cook is still here, do we need to go ahead and speak about item 6 on the annual report?
Yep, yeah, Commissioners, item number 6 is an action item. It's an agreed upon procedures engagement letter from the county's auditing firm for the tax collector's office. I'm requesting board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the attached $6,500 engagement letter for the tax collector's office. Now granted, I can actually read the narrative verbatim, but I don't know if you all want me to do that or not with the new abbreviated
No,
format.
it's fine. Any questions, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that the public is aware. This is the sole purpose so that we, moving forward, don't have any kind of issues with the tax collector's office in terms of anything nefarious going on, things like that. So that this money is to protect our citizens moving forward. I just want to make a note for the public for that.
Yes, and it will actually go back and analyze a 4-year period, just to make sure that, you know, any and all checks, they will actually look at every single check that was issued, and confirm, you know, that, you know, basically identifying those that could have been actually fraudulent. And as far as that's concerned as well, the auditors will also assist Ms. Cook with actually putting some procedures in place to hopefully safeguard against this type of thing in the future.
This firm, we normally use this firm right here.
Actually, we just went under contract with them last year, so they are our new auditors. We had actually Roberson and Associates in Vance for a period of about just over 8 years.
Do all our constitutions use some type of firm?
Yes, they are included with the county audit. Yeah, they are all a part of our comprehensive audit report.
Mr. Chairman, as long as tax collector Ms. Cook don't have any issues with this, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward. It has been seconded by Commissioner Croom. Any discussion, Commissioners, before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous, Ms. Jessica.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to add to the discussion that both the tax collector, Honorable Amy Cook, and the property appraiser, Honorable Terry Tipton, both met with Aaron and myself. They're going to be making some changes in their office personnel-wise. They've beyond agreed if they think they can figure out how to do it within the budget that they have now. But if they feel that they'll need an extra position as the new budget year comes, they'll be part of their request, you know, but they're gonna try their best, make some changes and stay within their budget this year. So I just want you might see some changes coming across. I just want you guys to be aware of it and wanted to be on the record.
Mr. Chairman, I know we don't have, it's not an agenda item, but it was discussed about, I know we've got something coming up with refurbishments to the courthouse and to offices. Ms. Cook was talking about the handicap accessible.
Yeah.
Is that on what we're gonna be voting on later, or is that something?
Actually, we do not have the quote yet for that, but that will also, that will be taken care of as part of your capital outlay fund budgeted expenses
Okay,
for
all right.
for the new year.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Mr. Blunt, speaking of Grace, let's go back to public comments, because I seem to have skipped that.
Yes, now I was through with that,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. I do have one here from Daniel McClenahan. Please come forward, state your name for the record. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Daniel McClenahan, Carabel, Florida. We're having some trouble with, we're trying to get some trees cut down. They're not on our property, but they're very close to our home. I'm afraid that at some point in time, probably in the near future, the next hurricane or so, our home is going to be substantially damaged. As I said, the trees are not on our property. We've cut down 2 major trees that were on our property, and we're just trying to essentially save our home, I guess. With the hurricane insurance rates, it's very expensive to insure our home. And yeah, I'm just trying to do the best I can to cut off any problems before they start. I don't know who to talk to about it. I don't know if my wife has anything to say, but that's what we're dealing with.
Well, she's welcome to speak if she would like to. I mean, you have the time. It's not a problem. Come forward.
Good morning. My name is Diane Zavotsky. Thank you for the opportunity. And we don't go way back with any of you. We're not from Franklin County initially, although we do live in a very small town. Our year-round residence in Maine is in a town that has just 3 selectmen. So I appreciate the position that you're in, that you're not experts and that you're dealing with all kinds of issues being thrown at you. The 3 tall pine trees sit on county property, and we did have someone from the county come out and take a look at them. I wasn't present when that happened, my husband was, and we had sent a letter because we're just not sure of the the ordinances either for Franklin County or even the state, if there is a way that it's determined whether or not trees are hazardous, if there's like a formal process. I mean, I think to any lay person looking at these pine trees, which are in excess of 50 feet, probably closer to 70 feet tall, our property line, actually our yard and part of our little cement walkway and driveway, a good portion of that is not on our lot, it's on county property. And the trees are about 23-24 feet from the house. So if they fall, they're gonna hit the house. We just aren't sure of the credentials of the person that looked at these trees and determined that they were fine to leave them, or what our next step is if we want some more, I don't say formal, but response from you all, from the county.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Yep, we'll address that, I assure you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, Mr. Chairman, Howard is up next. I think he might have been the one that paid a visit. We can ask him about
Okay.
that
That's fine.
when he presents his report.
And that was all the public comments we received, wasn't it?
Yes, sir, that's all I.
All right, Mr. Howard Neighbors?
Good morning, Commissioner. Excuse me, I hope y'all had a happy new year.
Yes, sir.
And the guy here, I did meet with him, excuse me, about the trees. And we don't cut trees unless it's a safety issue. So the trees is pretty, they green, they not leaning, they're not dead. So, and I'm the one that, told them that we usually don't cut the trees unless it's a safety issue.
Okay.
But then they said about the storms or scared a hurricane or something's gonna come through, blow them over. But I met with a lot of different people through the county. And the reason for that, we're not budgeted to cut just everybody's trees that they need cut, so.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Howard?
I'll just comment on it since
Okay.
the area I represent, which I represent all of Franklin County, but that's my particular area. Howard informed me that the gentleman and his wife was concerned about it. I asked Howard to go out there and look at them and make a determination if they were a hazard or not.
Yeah.
And he determined that they wasn't. And so at the last board meeting, Mr. Chairman, you got a letter, and I also got a letter that I referred to the attorney.
Yep.
The attorney then wrote them back response to them,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's where we're at. And so, I asked Howard in his infinite wisdom, which he knows all about these trees around here, and it's like Howard said, we are not budgeted to cut every tree down in the county right of way. And if it poses a hazard, we'll take care of it. But unless it does, that's the main reason why you have homeowners insurance. You know, if you have a storm and a tree blows over, it'll pay for your damage. You know, everything in Florida is not pre-hurricane or pre-storm, it's always post-storm.
Yeah.
And it's bad that it's like that, but it is. So it does not give leeway to any preventative measures as far as the county goes. But I think we have done our due diligence on it, and that's how I feel. So, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you for letting me respond to it.
Oh, no problem at all. Anyone else have anything for Mr. Neighbors while he's here? Because he has no action items.
But no action items, no. Excuse me, like Commissioner Sanders said, if the trees was leaning toward our house and still green, we would most definitely, have the trees removed. But the trees are straight and, and they're not dead. And if they was trees at a blind spot, like an intersection or something that was a safety issue, we would also cut them, so.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. We appreciate y'all.
Thank y'all, Commissioner.
Mr. Fonda Davis?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I have a item here just for your information. It's on the compactor 826K. It was purchased in 2016 and it has approximately 7,900 hours on it at this time. And the tips is pieces that's on the wheels of the compactor, and we replaced them back in 22, and it's time for them to get done again. But as it reads on my report, we purchased the 826 compactor in 2016, and it currently has 7,900 hours of use on it. We replaced the tips on the wheels in March of 2022 for $481.25. This time has come again for the replacement and cleaning of the wheel surface of the wheel tips for an estimated $55,035. Since we are headed to becoming a full transfer station, I have requested an estimate of refurbishing the compactor so that the determination can be made on the best option. Ring Power has not responded back yet, what it would take to refurbish the compactor as a whole. I know in the past they was talking about like 500,000 to 750, and that would include the tips. So just want to let you know what's going to be coming soon.
So you're currently working on a quote, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Any questions for Mr. Davis while he's here?
Well, go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jessica.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say, Mr. Davis, I ride around my district often and see things and notice things, and I just want to let you know, I appreciate your guys going out there and pressure washing the basketball court at Vrooman. It is used a lot. I see kids out there all the time playing at night. I get contacted, people turn the lights on because they're out there playing, so I appreciate that. In addition, this is a discussion I know that we can't have today, but we need to, since we are going to a transfer station, my mind turns to, and this is discussions I know we're gonna have to have, is one, mandatory garbage pickup, because we're not gonna be able to use that landfill anymore, right? I mean, there's gonna be some things we'll be able to take, but, and the debris pickup, that's gonna have to, we're gonna have to modify how we do our yard side debris pickup, because people are so used to, you know, dumping their yard clippings out on the side of the road and the county picking it up, but, and I like that service, it's a great service, but we're gonna have to figure out how to remedy all that since we're going to a transfer station. So these are discussions that we definitely need to look into. I have some ideas, I've been doing some research, but I think we need to, I don't know, have a workshop or something where we can think about all these things to where moving forward, we have a way to, people to be able to dump their garbage and get their yard side debris picked up or something done with that, with that stuff, so. I don't know what everybody else has to say about it, but.
No, I'm good with that. We are gonna have to have a discussion about mandatory trash pickup pretty quickly here. One of the things that has transpired, so last year, we asked the state to help us fund money for bear-resistant trash cans for the residents of Franklin County. And they did, but they didn't. So the money was actually given to FWC. FWC cannot give the money to the county directly, but they can give the money to people that the county might have a contract with if they can show an invoice for the purchase of the cans. So we are gonna have to move forward with mandatory trash pickup. Mr. Morone, we probably need to put that on our next agenda to have that discussion, and if we have to schedule a workshop or whatever we need to do, but we have that potentially in an ask this year for the other half of the money, because last year they split it. So if we're gonna be asking for more money again, we need to be coming up with the solution that's gonna actually provide the cans.
Yes, and especially since FWC will be here at your next
Yes.
meeting.
Yes.
They're scheduled to be here to discuss, discuss the Bay, and then also
Yeah.
discuss this money we having.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to swallow, and let's discuss the money for the first half that we're
Yes.
allotted.
Yes.
Because we have to, first they were like, well, let's wait and see and put a process in place, and
Yes.
now they're like, hurry up and spend it.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're gonna figure that out at the next meeting. So, yeah, I will tag on a discussion for that to happen, and we can schedule a workshop at the next meeting.
And add to that, the yard side debris, and I guess I know Appalach has where they have a day set aside, I believe, where with their mandatory garbage pickup, they
Yes.
pick up some yard side debris, so maybe we incorporate that into that discussion as well.
Yeah. So-
Cause that's
so-
gonna have to be addressed.
So what they have, Commissioner, is actually the individual they have contracted has the ability to pick up roadside debris. And he does that on an alternate schedule for them. But he owns the knuckle booms and the stuff to do it himself. So that's how they do it with their person that they have given their contract to does both services for the city.
Mr. Chairman?
Good to
Yep.
know.
My questions and thoughts were on the basis of what Commissioner Ward has already said, but she said it for me.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. We had the
We
same thoughts. so.
got
Yeah,
ESPN.
we got it.
Anyone else?
Yes, I got something for Mr. Davis. Last Saturday, I was driving through East Point and passed at least four of our county trucks, and then I'm like, okay, something's going on. And I seen Mr. Davis at the tail end of it, so I called him. He was working on the case. Can you brief the board on that case, please?
Yes, there's that case where the arrest was made in Appalachia on Gibson Road. And at that time, it was approximately 30 dogs. We did not had no reason to get at that time. But since then, it was pit bulls. They was getting loose and fighting one another. And the neighbors was afraid of them getting out hurting someone. So we went back and had to get all 30 dogs.
All 30 of them found it?
Yes, ma'am.
All 30 were pit bulls?
Yes.
Jesus.
They just don't, okay.
Anyone have any, thank you for that, appreciate it. Anyone have anything else for Mr. Davis?
Mr. Chairman, I do actually, and it's for Mr. Davis, Mr. Howard, and this commission. We got to talking about the mandatory yard debris pickup, or not mandatory, but mandatory garbage pickup, and it's gonna possibly encompass yard debris.
Yes.
We got a major problem, and we got to do something about it. We have yard debris piles that have mattresses, toilets, you name it. I've even had to call, Miss Bankston, because in one area, they had all this, it isn't yard debris, it's household garbage and construction material that the property owners putting out there on the county right of way that had a fire hydrant blocked off. I mean, it's just getting to the point. I don't wanna go and tell somebody what to do in their yard, but that right of way belongs to us. And we need to get something moving, an ordinance. I don't know how to navigate this. I'll talk to staff,
Yes.
but we need to go ahead and get something in place and let's start taking care of our right of ways. You know, we've said this before, you know, they're our right of way. We had the issues with the ditches and flooding. And what's happened in the past is we kind of let the resident decide on how we maintain our right of way. That's unacceptable because it's gonna keep putting stuff on the other neighbors' properties as far as water issue, garbage that's piled up on the right of ways. It's a deterrent. You can't see, children running out. I've had kids run over in my district. I mean, it's to the point to where we need to address something. I know this affects certain areas of both y'all's districts over there in East Point, but I mean, you know, I'm at the point where I don't mind hurting somebody's feelings. Let's get something done. It's a strain on our staff or on our departments over there having to sort through what's yard debris, what's not. I've even seen where, Buster and them's been up, Mr. Howard, sorry, has been, you know, they have to cut around, trash. We got trash in the ditches, and then they wonder why the ditches don't flow. That's because there's a wash machine sitting in the ditch. I don't know what we gotta do, but I would like to start moving this year on that, because if we do go to a mandatory yard debris, mandatory garbage pickup, and this continues, we're gonna have an issue with whatever contractor we go to. You know, that's gonna be a definite. So I feel like if we go ahead and start getting some stuff in concrete here, and, once we get to that point, that'll probably alleviate a lot of stress between us and whatever vendor that might be that does that. So.
Agreed. Yeah, Commissioner Emerson is right, because if we go to, mandatory garbage is one thing, but if we stop the roadside debris pickup, the problem you're talking about is gonna get worse before it gets better. I mean, I realize we're gonna deal with a contractor, but again, there's only so much you can expect from the contractor. So there has to be an enforcement policy, something in place if we stop the roadside, what we call a roadside pickup. You're absolutely right, sir. I mean, maybe we can incorporate all that in that workshop, Commissioner Ward, when we schedule that. So, yeah.
Well, it also, to add to what the commissioner's saying, you're gonna have to have the understanding that, number one, like he's saying, all of our right-of-ways, we need to come up with something comprehensive, because we have right-of-way issues all across the county. It's not just one district, it's in every district. And I'm not talking about mailboxes and trash receptacles. I'm talking about actual right-of-way issues, where people have treated the right-of-way like it's their property. And they built stuff in it, and they put pilings in it, and just any number of things that causes problems. But, you know, as we go to a transfer station, we are gonna have to rethink how we do the debris pickup. But I'm sure there's other counties that have faced this before. We track about 25 years behind everybody else. So I'm sure there's other counties that have come up with solutions to what to do with the big household items that are more than the trash can be picked up, but need to be brought to the landfill, and how that's accomplished.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's, again, something we need to discuss when we do that workshop.
And Mr. Chairman, that same thing goes with the amnesty. You know, that's gonna go away, right, without having a landfill, so we're gonna have to add that to the mix too, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, these are all things we're gonna have to figure out as we move forward, and I'd rather plan now instead of us be caught with, quote unquote, sorry for this expression, with our pants down, because then we're gonna really be trying to be behind the game.
Yeah.
And we need to prepare and have everything hashed out before all that
Yeah,
happens.
proactive rather than reactive.
Proactive,
Commissioner.
yeah.
Commissioner, you're right.
Well, you're also gonna have a money shift, Commissioners.
Right.
Right now, we spend about $500,000 a year to pick up stuff on the side of the road. Every year. That's what we spend to pick up stuff on the side of the road.
Yep.
So when we do away with that, you're gonna have the ability to try to address it in another way without breaking the bank because you're already spending that money. Just to make sure everybody's aware.
Yeah, good thought.
Anything else from Mr. Davis?
I think that's enough.
I got one more, Mr. Chairman, sorry. This is about the, Donnie Wilson Park. Where we at on that demo out there? I mean, I've been out there, but I didn't know exactly where we were as far as time frame with you guys.
The batting cage is down. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I seen
And the ball wall, I just talked to Mr. Neighbors about helping me get a piece of equipment over to get it down.
Okay.
Yeah, and once we leave there with the equipment, we're going to Sylvester Williams and tear the house down also, a little shed.
All right, and just in case anybody's watching our meeting, the lights on the field are down
Yes.
because we are in a demo phase, and I just wanna put that out there. I had some phone calls, I know he's had some phone calls, but that's what's going on. We don't have any sports going on right now, but we picked this opportunity this time to do what we gotta do, so you better get out there and play when the sun's up. Cause when the sun goes down, there ain't no lights right now. But that's all, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you, Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Davis. We appreciate all y'all do.
Yes, sir. As always, thank y'all for your support.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Uh,
Rhonda.
Mr. Morone, is anybody attending via Zoom for Ms. Daniels or her office?
No, I don't see, hold on one second. Whitney's there, Eric is there, no. I
Okay.
don't see any.
So, Commissioners, if you have any questions or concerns, just contact Ms. Daniels directly, and, because she has no action items on her report. Mr. DeWitt Polis?
Morning, Commissioners. I don't have any action items this morning.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Polis? Concerns?
Loving this cold weather, Mr. Bowles?
I'm loving it.
I think the
Freeze to
mosquitoes
death.
are too.
I think my blood's gotten thinner or something.
Yeah, I see you guys have been very active with some ditches over in Lanark and Carabel. That's
Yes.
good.
Yes, sir, Commissioner. We're actually about to finish up Carabel, have a few more over there, and then we're moving to East Point and then on over to Apalachicola.
Okay,
Making actually pretty good progress.
yeah, sounds good. All right, just for me personally, I want to try to get with you later. I have a ditch I want to talk to you about in East Point.
Okay.
One particular one, but I'll get with you later about it. Anyone else have anything for Mr. Polis?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Eric Lovestrand,
Good morning, Commissioners.
good morning.
I had a short report because I used some annual leave in December, and I did not have any action items for you this morning.
All right. Any commissioners have any questions or concerns for Mr. Lovestrand? Mr. Eric, thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for what y'all do for Franklin County. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys too.
Yep. Thank you. All right, Ms. Whitney Roundtree, Library Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I have one action item for you today. We have an open board position on our Wilderness Coast Library Cooperative Governing Board. Wilderness Coast is our cooperative. It's Jefferson, Wakulla, and ourselves. Each county has 2 representatives appointed by their Board of County Commissioners. Miss Marion Morris is interested in filling our second position. She is a Friends of the Library member, and she has been involved with the library and a great library supporter for several decades. So I think she would serve us well.
All right. Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Motion that we-
Nope.
Yeah, make a motion that we appoint.
And I'll second.
So we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, commissioners?
I know I was supposed to serve on that, but those meetings are hard for me to get to. If anybody else wants to serve on there, it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Okay, when do y'all meet, Ms. Whitney?
We meet quarterly at the Wakulla Library. So it's 4 meetings a year.
But is it already like pre-planned for this year? You already know when all the meetings are gonna be?
I do, and I can send you a schedule.
Yeah, please send it to Mr. Morone so he can send it to all of us, and we'll just discuss what we need to do in light of what Commissioner Sanders has brought up.
Okay, great.
Any other discussion about this motion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions about anything else on Ms. Whitney's report? All right, thank you, Ms. Whitney, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna open some bids.
We are.
Oh, we're excited.
This is the second time,
Yes.
right? Second time's charm?
We hope so.
I wish the first one would have been a charm.
Yes, Commissioners, this is the second time that we've bid this project, and this is for the new Lanark EMS station for the ambulance service. And this will be located on a 2-acre parcel donated to the county from the city of Carabel. It is actually located in Lanark, which will be north of Oak Street and the Spring Street intersection. And the first bid, let's see here, this is coming from, oh, no, it's good. Let's see, this one is from Holly Development Corporation, located in Bonifay, Florida. Again, Holly Development Corporation in Bonifay, Florida. Their total base bid is $1,440,186.67. Again, $1,440,186.67. Let's check for their bid bond.
Did you mention how much square footage this is, Aaron? I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness.
If you don't know the answer, it's okay.
Yeah, I can actually.
Okay,
email
I
that
just was
you.
trying to, I was gonna calculate how much per square footage they were charging.
Okay, gotcha. Let's see, and their bid bond is included. And this next one is from Oliver Sperry Renovation and Construction Incorporated from Tallahassee, Florida. Again, Oliver Sperry Renovation and Construction from Tallahassee, Florida. Their bid bond is included, and their total base bid is $1,078,112. $1,078,112. Yes, bid bond was included. All right, Commissioners, the next one is going to be from Monolith Construction in the Panhandle from Port St. Joe, Florida. Monolith Construction in the Panhandle, Port St. Joe, Florida. Their total base bid is $1,089,048.82. Again, $1,089,048.82. And their bid bond is included. And these bids should be released to Dewberry Engineers for their review and recommendation.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders. Second from Commissioner Amison to turn this over to Dewberry for their review and recommendation back to the board. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. Now that we've opened bids for this, have we heard anything on the new EOC? Because, you know, we talked about moving our constitutional officers over there. What's the status on that? Do we have an update?
Actually, I'd hope to have it on my report for this current meeting. I'd hope to have a full design task order for you all for the new site located in East Point. Now, however, there is, federal funding attached to the EOC project, which does not include other office structures. So anything that we do, we would want to essentially build the EOC and then, basically get all that money, completed, all of the grant paperwork done, cleared before we did anything else on the site, because with federal funds, there's a lengthy federal EHP review process, which we've been going through. And actually, at your next meeting, with this design task order, the state has told us that we could actually build the EOC on grade at that location. We've been going through the federal EHP review process, and they said, well, we can't really tell you that, that's acceptable to us until we actually see a full design. So they didn't just want a project site location and just kind of a general concept of how it will actually lay out on the site. They actually wanted to see the fully engineered plans, the fully engineered bid specs, the civil engineering work. So I will be presenting that to you all for consideration at the next meeting. We're just gonna go ahead and roll forward with the full design, and if by chance, with the federal review process, if they come back and tell us after the fact that it needs to be elevated, let's say 6 feet off the ground or 4 feet off the ground, it would just be an additional task order to actually change the foundation work at that point.
Yeah, I don't think it's like I don't think it floods there. I mean, we're all in a flood zone, but, and it, wetlands, but I think that's pretty high and dry land, but
Yeah.
anyway, okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Griffith, you're up.
Okay, Commissioners, my first action item is actually one that I do need some public discussion on, just because with FDOT Transportation Alternatives, the grant applications and ranking, I do have to provide copies of the board minutes as part of the grant application process. Attached are 2 resolutions authorizing the chairman to sign the grant applications for 2 transportation alternatives projects. A resubmittal of the application for River Road Multi-Use Path in Carabel from the intersection at Highway 98 to the intersection at Mill Road, approximately 1.2 miles overall, with the option for the project to be broken into phases for completion and the extension of the multi-use path on North Bayshore Drive in East Point, from the intersections at Palm Street to Plum Street, which is also 1.2 miles overall, which could also be broken into phases for completion and funding limitations through the Transportation Alternatives Program. Staff recommend ranking the River Road Multi-Use Path for project first, as it was not funded in the last cycle, and the North Bayshore Multi-Use Path extension second. The North Bayshore Multi-Use Path extension will also be added to the county's capital improvement schedule set for the update in February. The public is invited to attend a public meeting to provide input for the 2 proposed projects on Wednesday, January 15th at 4 p.m. at the East Point Annex in person or by Zoom, and a copy of the meeting notice is attached to this report. So I do have 2 action items. Action item A, board action to accept the ranking priority noted above, number 1, River Road, and 2, North Bayshore. And B, board action to adopt the attached 2 resolutions of authorization for the 2 projects, whereas the board formally expresses their public support for the projects, authorizes the chairman's signature, and authorizes the submittal of the applications for River Road and North Bayshore Path projects.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to do these separately, or being the same nature of, we can do it in one
I
motion?
think you can do one motion.
Okay.
They're the same subject matters.
So, okay, I'll make a motion to approve, but with a question.
Okay, so a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second from Commissioner Croom. Commissioner Ward, go ahead.
It's actually more a question / statement. So I actually, we did get funding and are approved for the Otter Slide
Correct.
sidewalk in East Point
Correct.
from, I think it starts at Ridge along Avenue A to Vrooman Park. That's coming in, supposed to be in 2027. So then the other one was River Road. I wanted the sidewalk all the way down CC Land, but there's not enough right of way, and speaking with our county engineers, I kind of want the same for River Road. So that's why I'm pushing for this, because there is a lot of foot traffic and bicycle traffic, especially down to the church at the end of the road where they have a lot of activities for the kids. But that's kind of why I was looking at this. And I'm okay with splitting it up as long as we can get, Aaron asked me about the engineering part of it, or the funding. I want to just do it all at once. I mean, it don't make any sense to just try to get the funding for the design and engineering part of it and not have the money to actually do it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I want to do all of it if we can, and if we have to split it up, I'm perfectly fine with that. That's just all I wanted to say.
That's what we don't like, but we got to deal with it, because that's the way that they do business.
That's where they've moved to. So,
Yeah. It is.
if you have to split it up, to do it, you know, if that's what it takes to get the money and get the funding,
Yeah.
I'm good with it. Because like.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, so like on North Bay Shore, we have a sidewalk halfway up the road, but it's not completed. So that's what we're looking at doing, is trying to complete that project, so.
I agree with you.
Yep. All right, any other discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Ms. Aaron, are you also wanting to discuss number 2?
That is up to you all.
Okay.
Yeah, legislative line item appropriation requests.
Yes.
You know, the list is provided.
Yes.
Just board action to approve the list of projects above to submit as the county's legislative line item appropriation request. So that's, I mean,
Mr.
Well,
Chairman,
I knew number 1 would need discussion, so.
I would.
Okay.
Number
That's
2,
fine.
here's the issue. So the last meeting we discussed, this includes the fire trucks, doesn't it, Aaron? I want to make sure. I'm
it
right.
does, yes, yeah.
So at the
Oh, yes.
last meeting, we discussed using the United Firefighters Association, which I thought was mostly all the chiefs,
Yes.
basically, to send a recommendation to the board.
Yes.
We wouldn't have even, I think we would have accepted, not just a 1-year plan, but maybe a 3 to 5 year plan of which district, in what order we would request, you know, a fire truck. Well, Aaron and I separately, actually, we've been receiving quotes and inquiries from all the different departments now. We want our truck, we have a quote for our truck. We need to kind of come together here. I'm almost to the point where I'd like the board to actually let me schedule the chiefs that want trucks to come in front of you, kind of pitch their proposal. And I hate putting the board in this position, but I don't really have a choice of which truck we're going to fund this year and which one we'll fund next year. Again, just because I know St. George Island needs a truck.
East Point.
Yeah, East Point needs a truck.
Alligator Point needs a
St.
truck.
Teresa,
St.
Alligator
Teresa.
Point. So, yeah, maybe
St.
we have a
Teresa don't
plan
have
that we
any
put forth and see if they agree to it as to what year we'll request funding for each truck.
Before they appear here, it'd probably be better just to ask them to try to meet themselves and come up with something like
I
that.
think
Yeah.
so, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't wanna be
Because
put in that
we
position.
can't submit 5 at one time.
No.
No,
I
no.
mean,
We're gonna wind up with a fat zero.
And what we need is the biggest need to be addressed.
Yes.
yes.
Who is the biggest need as far as
Whether it's
fire?
the oldest truck or who has the least amount of
The
trucks.
least
or,
amount.
You know,
But you
Who
were-
don't have anything.
So between now and the next meeting, you'd like them to meet, and
Yes.
then they can appear as a group, a
However,
representative, whichever
yes.
way they like
I'd
it.
rather
You know.
appear as a group, as a united front,
Yeah,
because I don't want no,
because, yeah, one of the chiefs said to me yesterday, as you say that, Commissioner, that we can't wait for that committee, that group to meet, because number one, they still haven't even selected their new officers yet, and they don't plan to meet until next month. That's too late.
they were supposed to meet in January is what they said in
Yeah, well,
November.
I-
when I
Our
met
meeting was
with them.
after our meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it happened or not, or where they are with it.
Okay,
But we kind of need to move a little past
yeah,
that committee,
Yeah.
and I guess create an ad hoc committee of our own, of all the chiefs
yeah.
that are interested in the truck,
Yeah.
tell them meet together, and then be ready to make a presentation to the board at the
Yeah.
next meeting.
So the current president, until they elect a new one, is George Pruitt.
Okay.
So if you would get in touch with him and ask
I
him
will.
about this stuff.
Okay, and that's the only thing I really wanted to talk about as it related to item 2 on Aaron's
Right.
report.
So do you need a motion from the board for this, or are you good with direction?
Correct. Actually, just board action to approve the list of projects above.
Yep. Okay. Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Amison, second from Commissioner Crew. Any more discussion? All in favor?
I got just one quick question on that bear proof. Now, that
That's the
money,
second half,
yeah, that'll
yes.
be routed through
Yes.
FWC.
Yes, I'm sure they'll do it the same way.
Yeah,
Hopefully they won't.
Yeah.
No, you know.
well, I don't see them not.
Yeah. They broke it in half last year and told us to submit the other half is what they told us to do, so.
And I'm sure they'll route it the same.
Yeah, oh, yeah, they'll route it the same way.
And when we speak to Mr. Creamer 2 weeks from today, I'm sure we can almost convince him, or he'll go along with us, if we ask him to route it in a different manner, he will support that.
Yes.
Because he.
Yeah,
he
no, we
also
could do
doesn't
that
like
this year. We could ask them to route it a different way.
Different way next
Yes.
year. He doesn't like the position he's in either, you know, he's kind of
Yeah.
with us on that, so.
All right, any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. All right, Ms. Aaron, those were things I know that we needed to discuss. Commissioners, before we consider the rest of this on consent, is there any item you wish to pull and talk about separately?
Mr. Chairman, the only item that I saw that I would like to just basically speak on is the item number, hold on, I'm trying to find it. The one about the courthouse.
Yeah, number five.
Five, yeah, okay, yeah,
Same
five.
Okay. Any other item y'all wish to pull before we discuss these on consent?
I just want to can I just comment to something?
You can.
We gotta get used to this.
It's gonna take us a minute.
It's a grace.
But on item number 3 on the striping of District 2, that is Alligator Point. Did we file anything underneath Hurricane Helene as far as damages to the Alligator Point Road, where down there between the S-curve and the marina, it got washed out and the road got swept away?
We are working on that. We're waiting on the repair estimates to actually be able to submit.
Okay, so I know me and you discussed it yesterday. So what are we gonna do? Stop the striping before we get to the where it's washed completely out? That one little strip.
Yeah, actually, Commissioner, once the additional inspection work is complete, there will, actually at the next meeting, there will be a change order presented to you all for the striping contractor to thoroughly clean the edges of the road from sandstorm and grass debris, just to ensure that the paint actually adheres properly to the road. And we will also remove any sections of striping for the roadway sections damaged during the last hurricane season.
Thank you.
All right, so looking at these consent items, we would be considering number 3, which is this action to approve the task order with Dewberry for engineering services for District 2 striping. Number 4 is the same thing, it's a task order for District 3 striping for, is it Dewberry?
Correct.
Okay, for Dewberry. We pulled number 5. Number 7 is granting approval for a signature on a $2,508 sheriff firearm grant. And number 8 is approve and authorize attached $9,140 permanent proposal from MRD and Associates to be paid from the professional services line item for a beach access easement on St. George Island between 300 Ocean Mile and Sunset Beach. What's the pleasure of the board on consent? We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. The motion to approve was by Commissioner Amison, second by Commissioner Croom. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. All right, let's go back to item number 5. Ms. Aaron?
Okay, you all want me to go ahead and just summarize the?
That's fine.
Okay. As work is now complete on the structural sealant project for the Franklin County Courthouse, staff submitted the attached change order pricing request to the contractor Monolith Construction for quotes to repair the damage caused by the old leaks in addition to other maintenance concern, which would make sense to get completed while a large construction contracting firm was on site. After reviewing the repair proposal, staff recommends approval of the change order scope below. The change order project scope to include item number 3, replacement of 14 fogged and damaged windows in the judges' chambers with impact-resistant glass, reseal exteriors to match the rest of the building, $7,000 each window, and includes the removal and installation of the new glass and the lift to make the repairs, $98,000. Item number 4, repair, seal, and paint the 2 storage areas underneath the stairs on the first floor. This includes mold treatment, repairing the cracks in the concrete, sealing and painting, and Franklin County staff will be responsible for removing all furniture, paperwork, and items from those areas for $14,400. Item 5, repair, rework, or restructure the concrete pads, ramps, stairs at the back door entrance. We agree with your recommendation to replace the entire ramp and approach to the back door as dirt has washed out from under the concrete pad and has undermined the entrance area. Price includes the removal of the existing handrails and replacing them when the new concrete is poured. Price also includes concrete in the small area next to the asphalt where there are areas of gravel for $27,000. Item 6, repairing the concrete pad sidewalks on the northwest side of the courthouse for $1,500. Item 7, repairing the damaged ceiling tile framing in Suite 305 on the 3rd floor, approximately $6,885. Item 10, repairing and painting the tax collector's office suite. This includes the removal of the remaining wall built-in units, installation of new drywall, spackle, and paint. This also includes all the necessary trim work to complete the tax collector's office for $14,000. Item 11, replacing all flooring in the tax collector's office suite with luxury vinyl planking. This includes all labor and materials for $13,900. Item 12, the public defender building, reconstruct, repair the concrete ramp at the entrance of the public defender building for $6,700. Item 14, repair the concrete ramp at the rear of the courthouse annex. This price includes the installation of an epoxy joint filler for $6,600. And the old fuel storage tank shelter, repairing the rotted roof enclosure, enclosing the walls for courthouse maintenance tool storage and office, and replace the entire roof with new architectural shingles for $16,000. The total change order recommended to the board is $204,985. And I do want to commend Monolith Construction because they have done a fantastic job on the courthouse structural sealant project. We have not had any leaks actually since they completed the repairs, and honestly, the courthouse has not looked this good in, honestly, 20 years or more.
Mr. Chairman, that was my concern, because I went to the tax collector's office, I went to the property appraiser's office after we had that bad storm, was it Helene? There was so many different ones. But the water seeped into the drywall and buckled, and that's one of the reasons why I have to repair what's there, and the flooring, and it was horrible. And I wanted to make sure before we threw $205,000 of our taxpayer money, I wanted to make sure that it's sealed and it's good, and we don't have to worry about the rain, you know, paying for all this stuff to get repaired, then having to turn around and pay it again because we had some water damage because of it wasn't repaired or wasn't repaired appropriately. So that was my only concern. I know this definitely needs to be done. There ain't no doubt about that because I've seen it with my own eyes. But I didn't want to spend the money and then us have to turn around and do it again. So it's good to know that Monolith did a great job, and I agree with, you know, same contractor, their own site, you know, they already are aware, just kind of add all that to the mix and then get these buildings fixed. But that's one of the reasons why too, and I know you're bringing it up on your report with the Badcock building, you know, we were talking about purchasing that. My thought was to put the constitutional officers in that, but then we talked about TDC funding and we couldn't do it for that purpose. And so that's why I was like, I don't want to do that. So it's nice to have them to be able to have an office until we get the new EOC and we decide to move them, that they have a nice office for our people to come into and look at, and them to be able to work in and not have to worry about the walls buckling or when it rains or having to like wipe up rags with what, you know, with the water coming in and having buckets and to collect the rain. And anyway, I could just go on and on. But anyway, I'm glad this is being done. I'm glad that the courthouse repairs have been done and appropriately enough to where we can do this.
And I do want to clarify as well, Commissioners, the $204,985, the county during the budget process this year, we had actually set aside funding in the capital outlay fund to actually fund the possible replacement of the roof on the courthouse. However, we have actually been inspected by the Florida League of Cities, the insurance adjuster, and they actually determined that the roof was in good shape, as did, you know, Monolith and also the roofing inspection company that we have on hand. So basically, there's been a consensus that the roof is in good shape, and believe it or not, all of the leaks were actually coming from the cracks in the mortar joints. So it was an odd type of leaking issue, but it does seem to have been remedied.
Good.
So is this coming from capital outlay or from ARPA?
This is actually coming from the capital outlay fund because the ARPA funds have actually completely paid for the structural sealant repair.
Repair.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair?
the original project was $1 million.
I withdraw my question. That was my question, was what fund it was coming out of.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? So did we ever have a motion or a second on this? Okay. I'm just making sure. Yes, ma'am.
Can we just clarify that the move would be for the tax collector's office and the property
Yes.
appraiser's office? I don't want
I'm
the
sorry.
public to think that it's the clerk's office too.
Yes, I want to make that, thank you for clarifying that, Clerk Maxwell. Yes, this is just for the constitutionals, and by constitutionals, I mean tax collector, property appraiser, and these are all people that have expressed interest in moving out of the courthouse. In addition, it's going to give the clerk more room to facilitate what she needs to do for her office. So I wanted to make that clarify. Thank you, clerk, for bringing that up.
Well, also some of those, we don't have any room for anything else there.
Right.
A lot of them are maxed out, and they need more room right now, so I mean, it's just part of growing. You know? All right, so what is the pleasure of the board on item number 5?
So move to
All right, we have
approve.
a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second from Commissioner Croom. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. All right, anyone have anything for Miss Aaron? Or Miss Aaron, do you want to talk about any of these updates, the informational stuff before we move on?
Really, we'll have the capital improvement plan update. The public hearing will be scheduled for February 18th at 10 a.m. That's your second meeting in February. The ADA access ramp repairs at the St. George Island Fishing Pier are now complete, so that ADA access ramp is now open. District floor Bluff Road pavement patch repair is almost complete. They are awaiting the final milling of that area. District C30 Gulf Avenue pavement patches, those repairs are complete. The CR 67 Phase 4 permit is still pending at this time. There was one comment received during the public comment period, and it was actually a comment of no objection. So we really feel like that permit will be issued any day now this month. Countywide dune restoration, we do have a pre-bid meeting scheduled for today at 2:00 p.m. and the FDOT road paving grant applications are due in March.
Do you remember to tell them about that meeting you have coming up for for those projects?
Oh, that was actually part of my first item for transportation alternatives. Yes.
Just want to make sure.
All right, anyone have any questions for Miss Aaron? All right, Mr. Pone, you're up.
Okay, I thought you were gonna take a quick break. Okay, Commissioner.
You only have one action item, so
Yeah.
it's all
My
consent.
report in front of you, actually, the only item that I actually to pay attention to is item number 2, where Commissioner Sanders has been reappointed to the, RRAC. That's a federal appointment. It actually affects the Apalachicola National Forest and some other things. She may want to comment on that so that the board and the public is aware of the significance of having a county commissioner, especially a Franklin County commissioner, on that federal committee.
Congratulations.
That's my second time doing that.
Yep, actually, it's a reappointment.
There is a
Yeah,
reappointment.
But
That's good.
otherwise, to her speaking on that, I don't see anything else in my report, commissioners, that.
This is the shortest thing I've ever seen you put out.
I know, right?
Well, don't get accustomed to it, because you don't want to see my list for the next report. It's already building.
I can do it, but the
Trust
first
me.
meeting, I always like to go light into
Yeah,
it.
buddy. Next one won't be as nice, but yes, Mr. Chairman, that's my
Yeah.
report.
Okay.
Unless
So the only action item you have is action item number 1?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that would be amending the lease with Community Action Agency
Yes,
on the Chapman Building?
yes, for the Chapman
Okay.
Building.
Commissioners, do you have any questions about this lease amendment? All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
So move.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second from Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous. So it has been amended. Mr. Morone, I would like to highlight what Commissioner Ward brought up a minute ago. So the owner of the Badcock Building listed their property for sale at the end of the year. So that's kind of, they did give us a little while waiting on it, and we really didn't have a way other than TDC funds to actually purchase the building. But then we're gonna be limited in our use, which probably isn't gonna be what the outcome we wanted anyway. As far as trying to purchase it outright for some other use, I'm happy to entertain that. If you can tell me where we're gonna get the money from, I'm good with it.
I
But,
can fire up the copy machine.
there you go. But, so anyway, we'll see how that goes, but they did put it up for sale. Mr. Rowe, I never did get a chance to check, before we move on to Turner Shore, let's take a 5-minute recess. I want to discuss something with you.
Okay.
Before we move on to Turner Shore. Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. We're still on Mr. Marone's report. I want to clarify something with him. So at the last meeting, Commissioner Sanders had mentioned about the Gulf Consortium and some of the stuff they're doing. I don't know for sure the answer. He's going to get the answer because we do have to give him updated names of who's going to be serving as on that board and the alternates. And one of the things is I'm not really interested in chair, vice chair, that kind of stuff that deep in, but they do have at-large appointments, I think, on the executive committee. Mr. Marone's going to confirm that. We might have to ratify that at future meeting.
So, Commissioner, if the deadline is prior to your next meeting, I'm going to go ahead and just submit the chairman's name, and then you guys could ratify that at the next meeting, that submission. Or for
Well, we can make a motion right now to put his name in there.
Well, I didn't put it on my report, and so I didn't want to go through that. We'll just, it's easier if we just ratify it.
All right.
As long as you guys agree to it, that here, then I'll do it, and we'll make a formal motion at the next meeting if it's available.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't 100% know. It might not be. So.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, I got something real quick from Mr. Marone before we move forward. We talked at our last meeting about moving our meetings to Wednesday.
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate the board taking in consideration my schedule. I'm thinking that I could probably do it at the last meeting in February, but I thought, well, it makes no sense to just do one meeting. I say maybe in March. I'm looking at March, and I'll let you know, confirm with you tomorrow.
Okay.
But I'm thinking March is when my schedule will accommodate the moving the meeting days to Wednesdays.
Okay.
I'll put that on my next report once we confirm tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, sounds good. All right, anyone else have anything for us to roll before we move on?
I just want to comment with my appointment to the by the Secretary of Agriculture at the federal level to the Southern Regional Recreational Advisory Committee, and this is the interested area of local government. So I am the local government representative on that board. It has the board has 13 members. I'm going to just read y'all a little bit. It represents 14 national forests, 2 managed areas, which encompass more than 13.3 million acres in 13 states and Puerto Rico. They go to different states having meetings and stuff. We have not went to Puerto Rico yet.
I was going to say, I'll go.
Okay. You can be my traveling companion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But I just wanted to let you know that this is very good because basically I'm the member from Florida National Forest representing the local government. But this is and just give you an idea of what this committee does. For a long time, Wrights Lake wasn't taken care of. It still isn't the best, but it's better than what it was. I brought stuff like that to their attention. It's like the Osceola National Forest, the Ocala National Forest, the Apalachicola National Forest. It's stuff like that you bring as far as the recreation opportunities. So, you know, I served on it 4 years the last time. It says I'm serving on it 3 years this time. So, representing the local government.
With that, Commissioner Sanders, congratulations, by the way. But, you know, I've talked to some folks about Fort Gadsden and some of the parks in my district. And, you know, they're not planning on opening back up Fort Gadsden since it got damaged from Hurricane Michael. And I think that's crazy. So maybe you can use your influence and try to say, look, guys, people enjoy that park. Maybe we can look at trying to get some of those open back up.
Yeah, because I noticed Commissioner Ward, they want to have a meeting as soon as February. I'm hoping it'll be February, not January. That'll mess me up. But February, and hopefully these are some of the items that I'll bring up. So, because what it does, this committee is not meeting in one location. It's meeting all over where this place, you know, this committee encompasses. And so I bring up that. One of the things that we did also was start charging for camping in like Wood Lake, Whitehead Lake, Porter Lake, because you've got a lot of the people that come and migrate north on the hunting season. They wasn't paying nothing, but the upkeep of them was so bad. So then they started doing that. So it's good. Camel Lake is another place too. So anyway, we'll put that make sure you write it down and hand it to me, and I'll submit it.
Thank
And
you.
but anyway, I just wanted people to know that we do have some representation at a federal level as far as the national forests go.
That's good. Commissioner, if you know, are Fort Gadsden and Wrights Lake both in the Apalachicola National Forest?
I do know Wrights Lake.
I do know I had a list of parks, and it was confusing because I had to ascertain which one was federal
Yes.
and which ones were state.
Right.
I'd have to go back and look at my notes. It might be in this binder right here, but
Yeah.
I talked to, I think his name was Mr. Washington. I'd have to get the name, but I contacted all these folks. I was like, are you guys opening that back up? What's the process? And then I got the implication that no, they're not planning on opening it back up. That's why they moved all the artifacts from that area, which was a lot of African American artifacts, to a museum. So, it frustrates me because we have people in our area that enjoy those parks. And it's just unfortunate that they're not planning on refurbishing them in any way. And, that's a historic site. It's not that they're taking artifacts to a museum. That site itself is what historic. But I can get that list to you if you want.
That's
of
fine.
what's different,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that was my thing, is like, all right, who owns what and whose jurisdiction is whose? And it was confusing, but I narrowed it all down. I'll have to go find that list.
Well, not only that, Commissioner Ward, but that has been long time families up there that
Yes.
artifacts that they go back
That
to
area.
Fort Gadsden
Yep.
when it was
Yep.
the war and all that, and and they should be more willing to keep it open.
I would like to see both of them restored. Wrights Lake's where I learned how to swim at.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember that, trust me. It was deeper than I thought it was. But, I would like to see both of those areas restored, whatever it takes. But that sounds good, Commissioner.
There was a long lapse from the time, right before I retired the last time to now, that they didn't have this committee going on. So if this committee is not in effect, they basically can't do anything as far as projects doing. So now we can get it up on the list and try to get something done about it.
Yeah, this is one of the things probably got shut down during the middle of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we move on to Attorney Schuler for Mr. Merle?
Mr. Chairman, real
Yes.
quick, I should have asked this when Mr. Neighbors and Mr. Davis was here, but, speaking of parks or whatever, but Bloody Bluff, didn't we gave direction for us to go ahead and maintain that?
Like we do.
Yeah, just refreshing my memory.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we were supposed to contact people, but then I think, again, this is what I was talking about, we need to have that on that task tracker thing, because we talked about it and we confirmed that the states, it'd probably be best that I guess was a contract many, many years ago.
Thought we couldn't locate the contract.
And-
Attorney Schuler, didn't you and I discuss about finding that contract, and the state could know?
I don't recall.
I don't recall,
mean,
yeah.
I think we were waiting on a response from them,
Yeah.
question mark?
Okay, I'll double check.
Yeah, and I believe it was decided that
That we did it, I think.
probably would be better if
If
we
we
did
did
it,
it.
because the state would
Well-
probably do it not as often as we
Yes.
could or would. It's frustrating, but I do, if we do need to find that contract, because that's,
Fonda.
and I do believe Mr. Davis, I don't know if he found it or not, but I do remember him saying it probably would be best if we just continued to do it.
Yeah, isn't that what he said? He said, okay, I'm talking out loud. I believe he said that's something that was in place when Mr. Van Johnson was the director, and he just continued that practice. And I think he may have known what the contract was, but I'll double check with him.
Well, just so this board knows, I took the victory lap for us and told them that, yeah, we did it, because it was one of the rare phone calls I got talking about what a great job that the state did out there, and I said, I think that was the county. So,
Well, they need to know
but,
that it's not.
yeah,
the state.
and that's why I
Yeah.
say, that's why I wanted to make sure, but
Okay.
yeah, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
All right. So, Attorney Schuler, we're on to you, sir.
All right, Commissioners, I have two action items. One is an 11 o'clock public hearing on an ordinance to consider the rescission of the burn ban that's presently in force and effect in Landmark Village in the St. James area. That can't occur until 11 o'clock, obviously. The second item is on the Barnacle Parking Enforcement Contract. We've talked about that contract many times last year, so unless the board wants an update from me with a summary, I'm going to assume the board is
familiar with the concept of the windshield screening to be used for parking enforcement throughout the county. It started out just in Alligator Point, but subsequent to the beginning of that conversation, the board has adopted a countywide parking enforcement ordinance, so I would expect this Barnacle contract to be countywide, not just Alligator Point. The last sticking point that we had with that company was the unlimited, potential unlimited liability for 3 claim categories for essentially fraud and other misconduct by the county. They have now removed that potential unlimited liability and capped it at the same $50,000 that I had recommended that the board accept on other potential claims that indemnifying Barnacle Parking. They on their own took the initiative to reduce the contract to just a 1-year term. Basically, it's a test ride for both parties to see how we like the contract. There will be no automatic renewal. If you look in paragraph 5.1, you'll see some language, and that's for the length of the contract in paragraph 5.1. It's a 1-year term, but they have some language in there that says that provided that if there are any services under one of the windshield screens that goes beyond that 1-year term, then that contract would continue for that particular windshield screen. And the way I understand that, let's say we're in month number 8 of a 1-year contract, and we order 2 more windshield screens, there would be a 1-year period for those 2 additional screens that were ordered during that original 1-year term. So unless the board has any other questions for me, how does the board want to proceed?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Do you feel comfortable now, the way this language is?
Yes, I'm comfortable regarding the limitation on the potential liability for the county, yes, sir. I mean, I would prefer it to be 0, but wasn't successful in getting them to agree to 0 potential liability for the county. So we have it capped at no more than $50,000 in aggregate for damages, attorney's fees, court costs. And if you weigh that against the fact that the statutory limited waiver of sovereign immunity is at $250,000, I think this is a win for the county.
Any other questions?
Just one other, really for us as a discussion, but you know, the only thing is signage. We need to make sure that we have proper signage up there before we start slapping some, potentially start slapping some stuff on some windshields. But that'd just be something we would have to direct staff to do.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I don't mind doing a 1-year trial because we're about to be at spring break before we know it, and we need to address the situation sooner rather than later. So with that being said, I'll make a motion
All right.
to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Amison.
Second that.
Second from Commissioner Crew. Any additional discussion?
And Mr. Chairman, I'm just glad that we were able to, and thank you, Attorney Schuler, for consistently trying to make sure this contract was how we wanted it, because this is very important. Like Commissioner Amison said, spring break's coming up, summer's coming up, and I want to be proactive and make sure that we have something before all that happens to start hitting people in their pocket a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Also in discussion, so Commissioner Amison brings up a good point. Do we have anything in place right now? Because listen, I'm all about making sure we can enforce illegal parking, but I know in my district I don't want the county to have to buy 200 signs and put every 20 feet and say you can't park here, you can't park here.
Yeah.
Do we need to consider as a board passing an ordinance that delineates where the no parking zones are? So potentially, let's say, I'll pick an easy one. On St. George Island, you can't park on the bike path or cross the bike path to park. You know what I'm saying? That's even though it's county right of way, that's illegally parking. And if it's going to be the same way, if we can do that in an ordinance, I think it'd be better than ordering 500 no parking signs.
Mr. Chairman,
Just a thought.
I agree with you in some aspects, but I will say people coming visiting our area may not know what our ordinances are or may not read them, because I have the same issue on McKissack Beach where I have signage up. They're gonna do what they want anyway, and they just aren't aware that a sign will say no parking, and that's, to me, okay, I can't park here. But people aren't going to readily look at an ordinance and say, oh, well, where can I park before I go to Franklin County, I see your point though with the signage as well. I don't want to spend a bunch of money, but I feel like we do need signage in some areas. I mean, obviously it's common sense to not park on the bike path, but I know
You would
people
think.
still do it. Those are just my thoughts, but I do agree, we obviously do need an ordinance in place so that our sheriff's office can follow that ordinance as well to make sure that they're being able to enforce, the no parking rules. So I see both sides.
Maybe it'd help us limit the amount of signs, is all I'm
Well, that's
saying.
true.
Yeah. I have a different problem. My problem is Lanark Village. They have a parking problem out there now. Is this gonna institute them using the barnacles out there to get rid of what's going on out there? And you're aware of it, cause you've been aware of it for many years. I was just, because the subject got brought up at the Lanark Village Association meeting last night. And Cliff Carroll there for the sheriff's department said, we're not gonna tow them if we don't have to tow them. But if they're illegally parked, is it gonna be subject to them putting barnacles on them? And, it's just, I don't know. It's just gonna be.
I would say yeah. They're legally, I would say yes if it's a county-wide. I'm not the attorney, sorry.
County right away.
Yeah.
Commissioner, I will pull up the relevant parking ordinances and
Okay.
give you a report back at the next
Okay,
meeting.
that's
If
good.
you think it needs to be done quicker than that, I'll be happy to call each of you individually and give you a report, but otherwise I'll just pull the ordinances. I will also talk with the Sheriff's Department's representative, find out what their experiences have been in court in enforcing the parking regulations, because in part, we need to make sure we have an ordinance on the books that helps with the enforcement and doesn't trip up the enforcement. I'll do all of those things and report back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that you contact ARPC to look at some of the other counties under that region, that have beaches and tourist hotspots, because sometimes you go somewhere, you see like one or two big informational signs saying, hey, per ordinance, but you can park in these areas and this other part. Now, I know we may have some disagreement with St. George Islands how the sign looks, because they like things to look a certain way. That's fine, but maybe we can come up with something rather than, like you said, 15 parking signs, 2 or 3 major signs in spots that the tourists can't miss when they get on the island, saying, okay, here's where you can park and here's where you can't,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, that's good. Well, the only other one in the region's gonna be Gulf County.
Okay.
No, the rest of it's on the water. Wakulla doesn't have
That
any
type
real,
of-
no,
yeah.
because it's all marsh.
Oh,
They don't
okay.
have any real beach.
That's where they go down to Alligator Point
Yeah.
most of the time.
They do. No, you're right, Commissioner Sanders, they
Yeah,
do.
but we will. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Any other discussion before we vote? Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Commissioners, unless you have any further questions for me, that concludes my report.
I would like to ask, sir, number 4, from reading the informational item, it looks like the process basically just requires us to publicly discuss it and make a motion to do that as far as our publication advertisements. So can you add that as an action item on your next report, please?
I will add that as an action item at the next meeting, yes, sir.
All right. Any commissioners have anything for Attorney Schuler while we're still on Jim? All right. Mr. Kirschenbaum, we're up to you. Airport Manager.
Commissioners, I'd like to say thank you for sending me to the convention in Las Vegas. I spent more time going to school there than I did doing Las Vegas. I went classes, hotel room, workshops, really went well. Before I just give you a quick little summary, I have a video I'd like to show about, it's a 3-minute video about the positive impact and how the type of show I'm proposing for 2015 will impact the community.
It was too big for me to understand. It just, the whole experience, the whole going to the airport with the crowds and everybody in awe. of these magnificent people in their flying machines, and the power and the noise. The performers there were superheroes.
I think inspiration is to give somebody motivation to do something. Inspiration is to help somebody to be better than what they ever thought they were capable of being. It can be anything they want. It's a kid trying to do better in school. It's a kid being a better athlete. It's a parent being a better parent. That's what we're trying to create, is an unbelievable venue of goodness and inspiration. And air shows, I think, do that better than any other live event on the planet.
Air shows inspire dreams that are obtainable. There's always a way. And every avenue is different for everybody that achieves whatever their dream is, but going to an air show might be where you would find the dream that you would aspire to fulfill at some point later in your life.
My father took me to my first air show. What really piqued my interest was a little single-seat Pitts Special taxiing out, and this Pitts took off in front of us. We were in a little bleacher, and right in front of us, he just pitched up, rolled inverted, and flew upside down the runway, pushed up, and continued with his routine. And I was blown away. I never really realized that real airplanes could do that. And I remember vividly turning to my father and saying, "That's what I want to do."
If there's ever a way to inspire somebody, it's to have them watch you fly. I'm not up there thinking, I'm going to inspire somebody today. I'm doing what I do best and, inspire you to do what you do best, whatever that might be. I see the dads bringing their daughters out to the air shows and wanting them to meet the women. And sometimes it's not just so they can become pilots, but just so they can see that a woman can do whatever they want. They don't have to be in a traditional role. So if I can do it, certainly you can do it.
What I would really like my mission to be is to be able to inspire these kids, young adults, to the point to move them to committing to something bigger than themselves, committing to a goal, an achievement, to make a commitment and really work at it. Dream big, be all in.
You just feel the energy. It's electric at an air show, and you can't help but come away inspired and energized to go do whatever it is that you are wanting to do and inspired to do in your life.
Thank you, commissioners, for the 3 minutes of watching that, but that's what I'm proposing to make happen, a smaller version of that for 25. And I really think it'll be a great shot at the airport and a great way to inspire kids and business and everything at the site. I did a whole bunch of workshops on ground ops, air ops, and I feel very comfortable with another 10 months of planning. And if you have any other questions for me.
You have no action items, correct?
No action items.
Okay. Do you want to speak just for a minute about the Tango flights?
About the what?
Tango flights.
Oh, yes. Amazing. The Tango Flights project was approved at the school district level, and it's going to work hand in hand with the Haney project at the airport. What this Tango Flights program is going to be, we have to raise $125,000 for the school district. School district's getting ready to do fundraising. We have $25,000 committed already, but the $125,000 will buy the first airplane kit for the kids at the high school. And over the course of the year, they'll assemble it. The school already signed the contract with Tango Flights, and they have an incredible support program. After the aircraft is assembled, it goes down to the airport, wings off. It's test flown by a credible person, and then it's sold. Tango Flights buys it. The school district gets $125,000 back. They buy another airplane kit for the next semester. And school is all in on this, and Haney is excited about it because it's going to inspire kids at the high school level to want to go to the aviation university at the airport site. And if there's nothing else to discuss with Tango flights, anyone have any other questions?
Yeah, who's going to be the brave soul? You said qualified individual. Who's going to be the brave soul that's going to jump in that plane and get it going?
Commissioner Emerson.
Okay. I'm just going on.
Mr. Chairman, that's where Haney ties into this.
Right.
Because Mr. Deaton and them have to certify the aircraft. So.
Cool.
The only qualification Mr. Amerson has is to put a parachute on and jump out. He's qualified
yeah, we don't want to do that. That won't get us the money back.
At my age, I'll just fall out.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners,
Yes.
just to let the public know, that video is on the agenda.
Yes.
There's a link right there. Just click it. They'll get to see the same video.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else have any other concerns or questions for Mr. Kirschenbaum?
I have one other thing
Okay,
I wanted
go
to
ahead.
tell you. We are all go with Tyndall Air Force Base. They're bringing down the Soviet missile battery to be on site for their pilots' training. It'll be there on Friday.
Okay.
And also our FCC license, Tom Mesher helped me out with that, is approved for the next 10 years at the airport site. And I'm working on surprises with maybe another $800,000 in funding at the site, but I'll see what happens. I'll let you know when it's real.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for the opportunity for everything I've done. Take care.
All right, Mr. James, is he with us, sir? Yep, there he is. Mr. Rayleigh, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing down there?
We're doing good. We're ready for your update from Baker Tilly, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I'm giving you an update from very snowy Ohio. But in any case, Michael did ask me to just kind of pop in, give you all a verbal update on how the Weems project is going, to refresh everyone's memory. We were tasked with or engaged to perform a financial analysis of the hospital, as well as analyze the impact of rural emergency hospital certification. The project is going very well. We're working with management at the hospital. The first part of the project is really a lot of data accumulation. We are largely through that part. We are working through the analysis as we speak. It's going well. I think we are going to have some very good takeaways for you all at the conclusion of the project.
Where are we at on our timeline? Are we still on a good schedule?
Yeah, I expect to. I will actually be on site. I believe it is next Thursday and Friday to meet with management, go over some of our kind of final questions and just work through some questions and some allocations and things like that. And then at that point, we'll start to be in wrap-up phase. So I'd expect to be wrapped up preliminarily, probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then, as I understand it, you all would like a written report, so final a couple weeks after that. And I think when we get to the preliminary stage, I'd like to meet with some or all of you and go through our preliminary findings and where we're at, and just to make sure the direction we're headed is going to fulfill your needs.
Okay, so it sounds like the second meeting in March possibly, or either the beginning of April.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did tell James that you guys might be interested at some point, I don't know if you want to discuss it now, about getting some numbers on making the EMS accounting department in the future, to see if that's in the cards based on the budget.
Yes.
So I guess there's a point you might want to talk to them about it, if that's what you want to do, and kind of explain to them why you're looking that way, Commissioners?
Okay. Yeah, so what Mr. Morone said, I don't know if you hear him, I don't know if his microphone's on or not, but
I kind of heard him.
Yeah, so we'd had a discussion, at least before preliminarily, about looking at some numbers with the EMS separated from Weems to see about viability of the EMS as a county department, per se, because that truly is what we statutorily, we have to do, EMS, just to make sure where we're at on the money side while we're looking at money and how we might be doing it. Because any future step we take, whatever it is, even if we stay with CAH designation, we're still gonna have steps we're gonna take, and we have to know for sure that we're on solid footing when we take those steps financially. So.
Understood.
You know.
Yeah.
So I just was wanting to, like Michael was saying, is that something that you're also looking at or could provide as an option maybe of what it would look like?
So the short answer is, as part of our project, we are splitting out the EMS to kind of look at, okay, here's the EMS, here's the core hospital, and here's the rural health clinics. And then within the core hospital, it's inpatient, outpatient.
Okay.
So the EMS being split out is something that is part of the core project.
Okay.
If we want to look at putting it under the county proper, yeah, and that's certainly something we can do. I'd need to work with somebody from the county's like benefits office, something to that effect, to understand the impact on moving on to the county's benefit structure.
Right.
And if Michael can connect me with those folks, I believe that would be the only issue that would change.
Yes, sir. Well, and I don't know how it's gonna go, but I guess what I was trying to ask, and what Michael was alluding to, is if we're looking truly at the numbers in a report, it would be beneficial to the county to see it in the most ways possible, so we know for sure that we're looking at everything. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that we don't continue to have a discussion to do something like that if we know that it's not financially feasible. I guess is what I'm saying. We would be able to tell that without looking at it set up financially.
Understood. Yeah. So we will, it will be split out separately, and then we'll run down the impact of moving them on to county benefits if that's, I think we're all saying the same thing here.
And Mr. Chairman, that's for all of, not just EMS, right?
That's right.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Yeah, what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the hospitals as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, we can do that. Again, I'll need connected with somebody at the county to understand the impact of the benefits and kind of make that calculation.
All right, sounds good. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Rayleigh? All right, well, thank you for the update, sir.
All right, thanks, everybody, for the rest of your meeting.
Yes, sir, enjoy the snow.
Yeah, I'll try that.
It's good for about a day and a half, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
about the way it is. It's good for a day and a half.
It's pretty when it's coming down, and then it's
Yes.
like, okay, I'm over it. I don't want to shovel my driveway.
Well, we don't know what that's like down here in Florida, thankfully. So.
I'll try and bring some with me when I come down.
Well, sounds good. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right.
He'll find out next week when he comes.
Hopefully it's beautiful weather and you'll be like, ooh, maybe I should go to Florida.
Attorney Schuler, our public hearing is time sensitive for 11, correct?
That is correct.
All right, so up next is Mr. David Walker, CEO of Williams Memorial.
Happy New Year, Commissioners. David Walker, Williams CEO. Also, I have with me Duffy Chairman. Duffy Harrison.
Duffy Chairman, he is the chairman.
He's he's the hospital board chairman that was voted in last November. And then we have William Zester, Bill Zester. He's the vice chairman of the hospital board. I just want to put a face with a name. Many of you know Duffy, but don't know Bill as much. Anyway, thank you all. Happy New Year. This is a request to purchase the CT machine as well as renovate my office and another office in the hospital to bring the CT machine inside of the hospital from outside to inside. We got some grant funding from the state of Florida for this particular project, and the hospital board is asking that the optional equipment items, which is the CT contrast injector and battery pack of $45,000, $629, be paid for out of the capital outlay fund here. And this has been a project that's been a long time coming. The service agreements have been reviewed and approved by Attorney Schuler as well.
So Mr. Walker, thank you for that. I want to make sure I understand the amounts. So when I was reading through it, and it's a lot of paperwork.
Mhm.
So it looks like y'all have some kind of grant to cover the majority of it?
Yes, we have a grant to cover the CT equipment, which
Right.
is $399,567.
Okay.
But the injector and the battery pack are additional items.
Right.
And so we're asking for $45,000 from the capital outlay fund for that.
Okay, so where does the $399 is the grant, correct?
Yes, that's one grant. We got two grants.
Oh, that's what I was trying to clarify. So-
The $399 is a grant that we wrote last year,
Okay.
or a year before.
All
And
right.
then we just got the other grant for the renovation of 366, just came in.
That's what I was trying,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, last
Yeah.
night when I was
had a
reading
question
through
too.
it, I wasn't understanding it,
My
so I
math wasn't
apologize.
mathing.
Yeah. So the actual ask from the county is 45,629.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, and all the service, I was reading through all this exorbitant amount of paperwork. The setup fee, there's software, there's training,
Yes.
everything's included in this. And I appreciate you for being proactive and getting the grants to get this, because otherwise the county would be out more money. So thank you for that. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve this expenditure.
Second it.
So we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward. We have a second by Commissioner Croom and Commissioner Sanders of the cost of $45,629 to be paid for out of capital outlay to help complete the purchase of this CT equipment with the injector and the battery pack and the renovation. And then the future service cost would be paid for out of Williams' operational budget to the tune of about $73,000 a year.
Correct, sir.
All right. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous.
Thank you, and I want to thank
Thank
Attorney Schuler for his help with
Mr.
the
Chairman.
service agreements.
While we've got Mr. Duffy here, now, at our last meeting, when we started doing the consent agenda, I made a comment during that period about not, our hospital boards, our airport boards, stuff like that, adapting the same type of thing because we need the feedback from you guys. Well, undoubtedly somebody's seen it. Well, I know a couple did, and they were asking me about that, and they were particularly.
Let me address that. At our last board meeting, one of our board members brought it up, and we're going to work towards this consent agreement. I like it. I just don't want to take nothing away from our meetings, but I might come in here I'll probably try to catch a board meeting at the beginning and see how this works a little bit, your board meeting.
Yes.
But I think it'd be a good idea to do that. And so we're going to work into that consent. I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was.
That's what I'm kind of getting
Yeah,
at.
sure.
We would rather y'all not, or I would. Now, I don't know.
What'd you say?
I said, me personally would rather y'all not do the.
You really?
Consent, not do it. And the reason why is, like I said, we have
I got
to,
you.
we have to get that information.
That's fine. I thought maybe since you had this consent agenda, you might want us to do it.
No,
I'm not.
The
I wasn't
reason
that.
why is we've got about 50 million different
I got
things
you.
that we're trying to do, not just the hospital.
Well, that's good.
You
I'm
know what I
fine.
mean? But
That's
we
fine.
need to, yeah, and we need to see that feedback.
Let me tell you something
not
else.
just with you guys, but also with like other.
I got
boards
you.
we have.
Good. That's fine with me. That's actually. I'm just trying to go along what some other people want, and I'm glad to hear that from the board right there. One thing I was concerned about too, we've seen growth in our staff from coming up there and giving presentations to our board. It's making them better leaders too. It's difficult talking in front of a bunch of people till you do it. I'm sure you understand. So I was concerned about that part of it too. So now I would like to continue on myself, and I'm fine with that. That's good. Well, good. We kind of figured since you were doing it, you want us to do it, but issue closed.
And honestly, that's what I was getting at. I had brought that up at the last meeting, not particularly about not the airport, but the hospital, is that even though we're going to adopt this consent style agenda, because we have so many different things to help expedite the meetings a little bit, I was kind of worried that, other other boards may start trying to adopt. And then since that meeting, I had a couple of people reach out and say, well, actually, the hospital board had discussed it. I didn't even realize it.
We discussed it, so.
Yeah, and I was just.
I'm glad you
when
told
I
me
had
that.
you here, I just figured we'd talk about it.
You know, I don't look at all the minutes of the board meetings and stuff like that. And, but anytime somebody cuts something like that, just give me a call or send me an email. That's fine. Y'all got any other questions about the hospital? We're doing real well. Yeah.
I think we're good.
I would like one thing. I would like a commissioner to volunteer to fly in one of them airplanes that turns upside down when it goes over. I'll be there.
Hey, Commissioner Sanders.
The chair, right? The chair wants to.
They got me back.
Thank you.
They got me back, Mr. Chairman.
They got you back.
They got me back. I'll do it. I ain't got nothing to lose.
I don't even want to be in a plane going upside down, much less be the one that's flying it.
I can't fly it, but I'll ride it.
All right, Attorney Schuler, we do have an ordinance hearing.
Yes, sir. You ready to proceed, Mr.
Yes, sir,
Chairman?
please.
All right, Commissioners, this is a public hearing to consider rescinding ordinance 22-11, which established the burn ban for the St. James Lanark Village Fire District, and to establish an effective date of the ordinance of rescission. This is a very short one paragraph, so I will read it into the public record. Be it now ordained that Franklin County Ordinance 22-11, known as the Franklin County Ordinance establishing a burn ban for the St. James Lanark Village Fire District in Franklin County, Florida, is hereby rescinded upon the adoption and filing of this ordinance with the state of Florida, and it shall not be enforced thereafter. This ordinance shall take effect as provided by law. It takes effect once it's recorded by the clerk's office with the Secretary of State. If the board has no questions for me regarding this ordinance, it would be appropriate for the board to entertain public comment.
Okay. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions for Attorney Schuler about this ordinance before we turn over to public comment?
Just a comment.
All right, go ahead.
I attended the Lanark Village Association meeting last night, and they're pretty favorable on this. But I only have one question, but I'm gonna wait for the public comment, then I'm gonna ask the question to Mr. Sheila.
All right. Any other commissioners have any questions before we proceed? All right. At this time, we would open it up for public comment. If you're in the room and you wish to comment publicly on this potential passing of this ordinance,
the only comment I have about that lifting the fire burn, what type of precautionary measures do we have for if there's wind, high wind, especially if it's coming out of the south and southwest and southeast?
be consistent with all the other times we have. So this wouldn't keep the board from implementing a burn ban anywhere in the county if the weather is that way, and usually we do it in conjunction with our EOC and with the state forestry and other people weighing in on it. So this is not going to preclude that or keep the board from doing that from time to time, as it is in conjunction with other agencies throughout the state.
Are we still limited to a warming fire and not a bonfire?
I don't think there's any beach in the area we're talking about.
Any what?
The only, I'm trying to clarify, the only place I know of that we have anything on the books that talks about a warming fire is on the beaches, and it's usually on St. George Island in particular. So I don't know why you're trying to make a distinction.
The reason I ask is because there have been a number of bonfires at the Alligator Point on the Beach Access 1. And what they're doing is getting palm fronds and that bring them down to the
Mr. Berry, this has nothing to do with what's happening on Alligator Point. This is a public hearing on lifting a burn ban in Lanark Village.
That's St. James also, right?
Do you have anything to say about that? It's not about the beaches on Alligator Point, though.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else via Zoom?
No other hand.
Okay. All right. And if there's no one else in the room, Attorney Schuler, I'll turn it over to you.
Commissioners, unless you have any questions for me, I have no further presentation.
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I would like, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I would like to call forward the chief of the volunteer fire department out there in
He's
Lanark,
like, doggone it.
Mr. Harry Larson.
Thought he
if
got
don't
away with it.
mind.
Yeah, he's like, man.
Come on, chief.
It's like the price is right, isn't it? Come on down.
And my question is basically not to Mr. Schuler, but to the chief.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Okay, now, Mr. Chief,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
called me and you said, I think we're ready to lift that burn ban.
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Cheryl. Okay, are y'all ready to answer the call to the
I
fire?
think the station's ready, and I do have a roster of firemen.
Okay,
We've
and
answered,
you-
we've answered 14 calls since May.
And you're ready with this cold front moving through and the fire hazard?
I mean, people have to be responsible.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
need to burn it in the burn pit and mind the wind
Okay.
and, do the right thing, but yeah, we're ready. The
Okay.
fire department's ready.
With that being said, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to rescind, the ordinance 2022-11, establishing the burn ban for St. James Lanark Village Fire District.
Okay, so you do make a motion to
Rescind it.
rescind it.
I second with a comment.
All right, so we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders, second from Commissioner Amison. Go ahead, Commissioner.
It's more of a clarification. This burn ban, and this is for me, not as well as everybody else, this burn ban was put in place because that particular area did not have sufficient means to address a fire in case something
That's
got out of
correct.
control.
That's right. That's
That was
correct.
the whole reason this burn ban was put in place to begin with.
Yes.
Now, we've, through the county and you guys' volunteerism and stuff, which is wonderful, now we're able to address that. So to clarify what Mr. Berry was kind of getting at, this lifts or rescinds that burn ban that was put in place due to the fact that we didn't have emergency services that could
Yes.
respond to it.
That's right.
So moving forward, if EOC establishes a burn ban, you
Yes.
guys will, in that area, or the county-wide for that matter, will still have to live within those guidelines.
Yes.
So
As
that's,
as it was, yes, sir.
Yeah.
okay.
That's the way it's always been.
Yep.
And to me, this is a good day, because that means we're progressing on with emergency services as far as fire protection.
Yep.
That, to me, that's a good day
Oh,
for
yeah,
that to happen.
definitely. I just wanted to kind of have that moment
yeah.
to tie all that together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, I was the one saying, was there gonna be any kind of blowback from this? You're like, no, everybody wants to lift it over there, and I understand. But anyway, and thank you
Yes, sir.
again for your service.
Thank
to the
all of
community.
y'all.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Sure, one thing.
Yes.
I just had a question for the chief. I'm glad he came. I'm glad he came, 'cause that was my question about, do we have firemen over there now?
We have a roster of firemen, and we have several volunteers. Probably 6 firemen and probably a dozen volunteers.
You
But
answered
I've
the
got
next
6
question.
people that can respond.
You have 6 certified?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Isn't that good?
That is good.
I'm so proud of it.
That is good. That's
They've
very
worked
good.
hard.
How's communication over there, chief?
Still not good. We're taking advantage of the EOS, Miss Jennifer Daniels. She's got us on the, I forget what Everbridge.
Everbridge.
Yes.
Yeah,
Everbridge,
it works,
yeah.
and then I got me a station dispatcher that relays the message out. It's been working. I mean, we've actually got to fires and been able to make a difference.
Good.
Good.
Well, with this burn ban lifted, we can do some smoke signals, we can go back.
The public really wants this, and I feel like the firemen need to step up and do their job.
There we go.
Sounds good. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Larson.
sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that this is the first ordinance of 2025 that we passed.
Yes.
Yep.
Hopefully the first amendment too.
It'll be
It's
on the
a long
system
day.
See how peaceful
tomorrow
that
morning.
was? That's, we're gonna set that
Yep,
standard.
that's
There you
right,
go.
that's right.
Do y'all have anything else for Attorney Schuler?
But you-
Because we are still under him, so.
Just a minute before you go back there. You know, these people came out here and volunteered at Lanark.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about in this county. I've said it time and time again. If people like Harry Larson and all the rest of them didn't do that, we wouldn't be at this point today.
Sure wouldn't.
So I thank all the volunteers that we have in Franklin County.
Absolutely.
That's right.
You know, so that's a good thing.
It is.
Absolutely.
My son is a volunteer fireman, and he, oh yeah, I have to hear about it. I hear war stories every day.
War stories.
And he's been a fireman for 2 months.
Oh, Lord.
Bless his heart.
Do y'all have anything else for Attorney Schuler before we go on to Commissioner comments?
I have one thing for the board, if there's
Yes.
no questions, and this is just for the board's information. I meant to bring it up during my report. I have received and recorded the deed from Mr. Donnie and Ms. Kay Faircloth for the north half of Cape Street. I'm going to deliver this to the clerk's office now on the record and thank them publicly for that land donation to help out Franklin County. It was very nice of them, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the
Thank you.
indulgence.
Well, seeing no other thing to discuss with Attorney Schuler, we're now at commissioner comments.
Mr. Chair, I got something.
Yes, sir.
We was talking about communications. Can we find out what's going on with the radio communication, the paging system? Been hearing a lot of complaints of first responders still not getting pages, and that is very critical at this time because we're in the winter months.
From the sheriff, from dispatch?
From dispatch.
From dispatch to
or
the
if
sheriff's
it's-
department?
If it's something going on with a tower, but that's a big thing I've been hearing lately. I can personally testify, because I've been wondering why I haven't been getting pages too, and I found that out.
Okay.
It was an issue.
It's not good.
And Everbridge is good, but it's good to me for secondary.
It is.
Yeah.
As a backup.
Right.
Yes.
Like that, one of the fires that we had here in Appalachia, no pages on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just to kind of jump in there with this, and I'm glad you're here because you could probably help me with this, and the chief also, but, and again, this is what I'm hearing, but is it true that everybody has a separate communication platform?
See, that's, I didn't want to bring that up right now. I was going to talk to
Yeah.
Commissioner
That is true.
Crew offline. Yeah, they're
That is
separate.
true.
That's why we're heading towards this one
System.
system that's going to be funded from
And
Triumph.
that's the try, okay. I'm
Yes,
just-
but
I'm
right
just trying
now,
to-
yeah, I mean, St. George Island has their own way. Appalach has their own way because we help Appalach with their repeater.
Yes.
Is that what we
repeater.
did? Yes. And so, yeah, so everybody has their own system, and that's the nightmare. That's why I was gonna heading towards asking you about, Commissioner Kroom. That's a nightmare that the dispatch has to deal with. Because depending on where the fire is, it depends on what system they have to use to contact that fire department. At the next meeting, Commissioner Sanders, we're gonna be talking about Alligator Point.
Yeah.
Because the cost that they thought they had, the billing that they thought they could use, they can't. So that expense to get that system online is a little bit more. I'm gonna have to get permission from you guys to approve it a little bit more, but I need to have a conversation with Commissioner Sanders first. So, yes, Commissioner Kroom, that's why.
But with the paging system, it was everyone excluding St. George Island. Everyone, the dispatch console, they can press what department it was. I've sat in there and witnessed it.
Yeah.
And use what, like my pager that I had before it stopped working. Channel C, I can hear every other department with the system.
Yeah.
So I'm saying everyone was kind of on the same paging system.
Yeah.
Except St. George Island. So I don't know what has happened.
What has changed?
now.
Okay.
It's all
Yeah.
different.
So it's primarily the paging system is what I'm
Right,
asking
and that is
about.
the most
Okay.
crucial part, because in the middle of the night, my phone is on vibrate or do not disturb.
Yeah.
So I don't really get calls at a
Okay.
certain time. However, that paging system, when that pager go off, I wake up,
Yeah.
you know?
I'll contact
A lot of
Renee.
people miss phone calls, so that is the thing with Everbridge. It's a good tool, secondary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you gotta have a paging system for fire department.
Okay.
A working.
But going back to what kind of was getting at, with this communication system that we're applying for, or we got through TEC, that will bring Sheriff's Department, EMS, Fire Department, brings everybody under the same communication umbrella
Yes.
where we have a straight line of communication.
That's correct.
And
Right.
everybody can communicate.
Yeah, and that's wonderful.
That's what your problem
Yeah,
is.
and- because the very first breakdown in anything is communication, because if you don't get the call, you're not responding. It doesn't matter whether you're a sheriff's deputy or a fireman or EMS. You got, communications is key.
Yep.
And I was just getting clarification.
Now, back on the same thing, and I'm gonna move on here. Historically, are we going to can a department exempt themselves from this communication system? That's been brought up, that has happened in the
I
past.
will leave that up to this board. That's a decision
Nope.
you guys.
That's what I told all of them on behalf of this board when I
Yeah.
met with them in November. No,
I agree.
What would be the justification from being exempted from it?
because they want what they want.
Right.
Well, yeah.
And honestly, I mean, really, if they want to have a secondary system, for backup, I could see
that being viable. However, the primary should be the countywide system, like that's.
Yeah, it's,
That's the reason for the
I think it's unfair to ask the dispatcher to have this system for these fire departments, but this one wants this system, and
Yeah.
that's inefficient, that's bad, just
It
bad.
takes time.
That's a bad best
Well,
practice, that's
that's
terrible.
a, that's a miscommunication gonna happen too. It's a-
Yeah.
Actually,
So
All of them.
but
Recipe
to answer your
for
question, Commissioner Croom, that's, you and your fellow commissioners have to make that decision. Yeah.
And last thing I got, I received this, and this, the MLK celebration is moved to Sunday. Usually on a Monday, but it's on
Yes.
Sunday
Yeah.
because the
I was wondering
inauguration,
that.
presidential.
Yes.
inauguration.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Sunday,
right.
January 19th at Ormery, 3 p.m.
Okay.
I got a comment, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. More of a, couple things. One is, I don't know about anybody else, I know that my phone was blowing up, about this drilling in the bay, potential drilling in the Apalachicola Bay. We sent a letter, I don't know what more we can do to show that we are against that. I mean, we sent a letter, did we send a letter to the governor too, or did we just sent it to DEP?
DEP and talked to all of our
Talked to our
legislative
legislators,
delegation.
and they
Yep.
sent letters, so
They
I don't
sent
know what
letters.
else we can do to prove our point that we do not want the drilling in the bay, so,
You
somebody
talking about the
mentioned.
river basin? You
Yeah,
keep saying the
it's not
bay.
in the
I'm
bay.
sorry,
It's-
not the bay, the river, I'm sorry, I stand corrected, but,
Calhoun County, right?
somebody, Calhoun, yeah. Somebody was wanting us to go on Oyster Radio, and I said, I don't know what that's gonna do, because we've already sent letters, what more, I mean, everybody is aware. You know, we try to be as transparent as possible, the letter's out there, I don't know what else to do, except know that the public is aware that we do not, we're not in favor of the drilling in the Apalachicola River.
Yeah, actually, I saw someone post the letter. It wasn't even
Yeah,
county
yeah.
staff, somebody on their own
Yeah.
said, no.
Probably
county
the
has
same one
posted
that
this
was contacting all of us about it, because I know
Yeah.
the chairman was contacted, I'm not sure about all the rest of them,
Yeah,
but,
right.
I mean, it was on holiday too, I'm like, oh my goodness, and people trying
Yeah.
to, anyway. It was something else, but I can't remember what it was, but I guess I'll,
I'll get you a task
Yeah.
tracker. No, I'm just
There
kidding.
you go.
yeah.
We can all have one.
Any other commissioner comments?
No, I'm just hoping that everything went good through the Christmas holidays and New Year's
Yes.
with everybody. And it is a time, not of reflection, but looking at the future. I see a bright, bright future for Franklin County. I'm looking forward to what FWC is gonna say about the oyster industry in here at the next meeting. I wanna put that out there because I think it's about time. It's 2025. So they said they would have an answer 2025. I'm listening to for it.
And Mr.
And everybody is real wanting to know, you know.
Yes.
And they don't care how it opens up. They want to make sure it just opens up. They don't care if it has to be just 5 bags of oysters. Give them something to work with and to work that bay again, to where it be a very productive bay as it once was. And I'm hoping that the data shows that. And we look forward to it, to FWC coming to the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, that actually reminded me, thank you for what I was gonna say, Commissioner comments. I don't know if any of the commissioners had someone, I had someone contact me again about the rock formation, speaking of FWC in the bay, as a navigational hazard. And there were a couple people, which I just want the public to be aware, I did send an email of pictures of that to Mr. Creamer, and I think he was gonna get with Mr. Resco, and I even told this individual, I said, start calling them, start blowing them up, because they need to know, and I don't want anybody to get hurt. That's my biggest thing, because this was, I mean, you could see this individual, he was standing on the rock formation, and it was probably, he had oyster boots on, but it was literally almost ankle deep, mid-thigh deep. Not everybody's different, might probably be hip, waist deep on me, because I'm short, but point is they've gotta fix that. And they said that they've done the small rocks. These rocks were not, I mean, they were this size, and I'll be happy to share pictures with other commissioners if they wanna see them, but anyway, I'm glad Mr. Kimmer's gonna be at our next meeting. So, but I want the public to know, I did call him, email him about that.
It was on my personal agenda to update y'all on the partnership in preparation for the I had it somewhere in here. But no, seriously, since they're gonna be here, I should take the time to give y'all, I guess, an update from the partnership perspective. We have met with FWC. Well, let me back up. Partnership has now got our little subcommittees established. We have communications committees, stuff like that, you know, just to start hitting the ground running, so to speak. Now on the outreach committee, we have met with FWC a couple months ago, because when we first separated from APSI and formed the partnership, we were under the influence that they wanted some feedback on how we're going to, our recommendations as far as opening the bay up. Now, keep in mind, and you know this, but the public needs to know this. This is going to be FWC's call. We can only give recommendations as a county commission, as a partnership for resilient Apalachicola Bay, all that stuff. They're going to base their decision hopefully off of good advice or recommendations, but at the end of the day, it's their decision. So if it's not something that someone's not pleasant about, or, not pleased with, keep in mind that's not a reflection of this county commission or a partnership or anything. That's directly an FWC decision. But now, backing up, we met with them a couple months ago, and we really hit the ground running from the time the APSI had finished up, and we had a list of recommendations. So when we met with them, they were like, "Whoa, we're not ready for that," and we were like, "Well, okay." So we backed up, and then I get a call next month. We need them recommendations right away, because obviously they had gotten some pressure from higher in the FWC rank. But anyway, we just had a meeting this past month, which was a very productive meeting. We had a lot of discussion. My biggest concern, and we voiced this, myself and others, is what information or data they're going to use, because just for some simple math, if this bar is only producing 3,000 bags of oysters an acre, where's the cutoff going to be? Are you going to be at 25%? Once we get to 25% of oysters remaining, are we going to shut it down? How many people are you going to allow to oyster? We're starting to have these discussions. But right now, the biggest thing that we really need to make sure this commission, the public, everybody, is that when they go before the FWC commission this year, that they need to have updated numbers. They don't need, in other words, they don't need to be using the numbers that like we used the other day, that we're almost a year old now. Because number one, we've got material out there in the bay. We all know that bay will grow and produce. So once they go to FWC commission, we need to make sure that they're or try to put as much pressure as we can that they have real-time numbers, and they're basing those bag limits or whatever, that production limit is based off of updated stuff, not something that they have from 2 or 3 years prior. So that'll kind of help you out with what you were saying. Another thing too is and I've been pretty vocal about anti-limited entry when it comes to the bay, because I don't want to, in my mind, and it goes back to and we're all in that mindset if you think about it as locals. I don't want to close the door to a young man or young lady, for that matter, that wants to go out and work on that water, walking out of that high school over there. But I have since took a different approach at looking at it, and I am backpedaling, I guess is the political term that most of the federal politicians do. I'm doing it on a county level now, but I'm stepping back from that approach because, I'm sorry?
Is it informed reconsideration?
Well, no, I just got to looking at it from this other aspect, is that if we don't get this door open, and then it might not ever open. So if I have to sacrifice, and bend the knee, so to speak, to a limited entry style program just to get this going, that would probably be the wisest approach. Now again, when you talk about limited entry, that's going to depend on the estimated amount of oysters that's out there, what their cutoff's going to be as far as the amount that they're going to allow to be harvested, And then also, the time of the year is gonna be an issue. I've had this discussion post that meeting about, do we wanna open January 26th? Whenever,
We're supposed to.
well, I understand that, but just hear me out. Now, if you're only gonna be allowed to catch a certain amount of oysters, would you rather wait and open it whenever the oysters are more marketable? Say, for instance, the fall. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing some stuff out there. I'm not saying this is, I've had this discussion with other people in the community. This is not FWC. You know, I've spoke with some oyster dealers, past and present. And, you know, typically January is whenever you can't sell oysters. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things here that's going in, that's going to come into play that we all need to be aware of and be thinking about and stuff like that. But this is a lot of where we really need to focus on with FWC in a couple of weeks, I feel, is that they're going to be presenting real-time data, not 2-year-old data, because obviously if they've estimated 2 years ago or a year ago that there was only X amount of oysters per acre, the reality of it is that they're going to cut it off way before they should have if they don't use those real numbers closer to the opening, if that makes sense to you. And the limited entry, going back to that, they're the ones that's going to have to figure out how they're going to pick and choose who gets to go back. Myself, personally, I think it, again, needs to fall back on catch histories. You know, you don't need to sit there and let someone that's not going to be a full-time oysterman go out there and oyster. You know, I believe that, and that's their call, but that's my personal opinion. You need to, you know, let me put it this way. I don't think that somebody from the road department should be sitting on the oyster license when he's got a job, and somebody that doesn't have a job, that oystered their whole life, didn't get it. But again, FWC's going to have to make that decision. That's not up to us. But that's some of the things that you as a commissioner may want to ask them, because that's the direction that FWC is going right now. So that's giving you an idea where they're at in this.
Let me ask you a question though, Otis. You know, we got time, don't we?
Oh, we got.
Okay.
But hey, we're not 4
As long
o'clock.
as we ain't trying to make no motion.
That's why I looked at Michael. My thing is, why would you want, see, you gotta get everybody involved in this. In the past, it's been the Department of Agriculture, the aquaculture, you know, the all them doing who got the license, who didn't get the license. Is that something that you would want to look at again doing, or would you rather FWC do that? See what I'm saying?
FWC is going to do it. See, the thing about that's the thing. You know, it actually started out with Department of Natural Resources. Then they dissolved that, and it went into DEP and DAX.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But now well, we won't go down those murky waters. But anyway,
no, we won't.
But now FWC controls it. So this is an FWC
from here on out.
Yeah, you know,
So
I mean this.
you know, they couldn't take the data from what the Department of Ag had on the oyster, because
Are you
unless
talking
they
about?
do,
No, hold on. Are you talking about
with the license and stuff?
Well, yeah, they would have to fall back.
They'd
And I'm
have
not
to.
sure if you're familiar with this, but anytime, and I know this because obviously the business I'm in, but we had to produce, like in the past, if somebody come in, had X amount of oysters or fish or anything for that matter, you had to do state trip reports on the catch.
Yeah.
So they have a catch history on someone that was, unless that person went paying taxes and trying to get by. But if the, you know.
They're gonna penalize them now, though.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is they have a catch history that they can base that off of. They can say, if Cheryl oystered back in 2012, this is how many bags of oysters. And the great thing about oysters is, or not really the great thing, because I'm not a big regulation kind of guy, but oysters more than any other species is highly regulated. So they have to go through a certified dealer. So you have that type of paper trail.
I'm just saying, I would rather see some input be in there for FWC to make their decisions on the license and stuff like that from another agency that has had experience with that, like the Department of Ag or somebody.
Well,
that's what I'm talking about. Because if it's all on FWC's back, you know, I'm
Well,
I'm
it
concerned
is,
with that.
it is, but the thing about it is that this is the time where they're trying to get these recommendations and ideas on how, you know, they're gonna base this decision off
Yeah.
of. So that's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to do is give you all the mindset of where we're at in these discussions. That way, in a couple weeks when they're here, you know, you really know where to kind of
I know.
stick and move, so to speak.
My concern is, the tongable rock, cause the rocks that I've been shown.
Let me tell you.
I don't know if they're tongable or not.
I've heard so much over this, you know, at first, look, FWC, when they first got there, wanted to come in with a 10 to 15 inch material. I mean, they want a material like that, which is untongable.
That's right.
Now, through the whole, we want, you know, personally, we were wanting to get more of like a 2 to 3 inch material, something small. We kind of met in the middle. Now, I've seen plenty of stuff in the, you know, from, I'm not gonna sit here and pick names or any of that, but I can go back and take some, I even went and did some screenshots on social media where 12 months ago, well, this ain't what we wanted, but this is work, this is fine, this is going, now all of a sudden it's not fine. I mean, this back and forth, this material is tongable. Is it gonna be as easy to go out there and tone material that was a lot smaller? No, but it's still a manageable, workable material. The great thing about this is this material ain't gonna wind up in Amos and Seafood's driveway, because they ain't gonna haul it off the bar. When they call off, that material's going back on the bar. We've had all these discussions, and like I said, I know where the noise is coming from, and it's and I'm not. I mean, I have my reservations to begin with too about size material, but once we got the material, we looked at it. Yeah, I mean, the whole pile is not on the 4 inch side, but the whole pile's not on the 6 inch side neither. You know, it's a good little mixture. I even took it so far as I reached out to FWC and said, I want to go out to Biola Battery and I want to see the pile. And I said, I don't want to see a picture of it. I don't want you to bring me, because I was gone, if y'all remember, when they brought you the material,
Yes.
and they brought y'all all the smallest pieces.
Yes, they did.
And that's what I told them. I said, if I'm gonna sell somebody 10,000 pound of shrimp, they say, show me 5 shrimp, I'm gonna go pick the 5 prettiest shrimp out to sell it to, you know, to go show them.
That's right.
So I called them when I got back into town. I called Devin and them. I said, I'll go out there and drive out there. I want to see the pile. And he said, what are you getting at? And I said, because I don't, you know, I want to look at it.
Yes.
I don't want a picture. Well, I wound up with a picture because they had to, if y'all remember, they had to kind of reroute things with the whole flood, and I forgot what the natural disaster was at the time, so they were coming down a different avenue, and they didn't stage it, just brought it directly from barge to here. So in other words, their initial plan to bring the material there, stage it, then ship it over, they had to do a direct route. It was a longer route, and the only thing they had to directly do was to alleviate some of the time. But the material it's still gonna grow, it's still gonna be workable, and over time, it'll just get better and better and better. It's not 10 to 15 inch material, it's still workable material. Everybody that sits in there, I've got Oysterman that sat in on that partnership, everybody, and even some of the people that are, you know, now saying, oh, that material's too big. Like I said, I've got screenshots of the discussion where they're on social media saying it ain't what we wanted, but this is gonna work. It's a good thing we get some material out there. That was the big thing. We wanted material put out because we know as a community that baby's gonna grow oysters, but it's not gonna grow it if there ain't any material out there. So, and that's where we're at. Now, we'll tell you this, and I try to reinforce this, reiterate, or whatever the term is, to tell people what we're in right now is not a restoration. This is not a restoration. What we are in right now is still pilot studies. That's just a bigger pilot study. They did a little bit bigger area. That's not a total bay restoration. And the only way, and look at the millions that this little bit cost. Now imagine if we had a total bay restoration, we would be talking, I don't even know how much, we might be, you know, I wouldn't say $1 billion, but I mean, we're looking at a ton of money.
Cause this was
But
17 million.
the thing about it is if we don't, it's actually, if you gotta kick it, the governor kicked in another 10 million out of the state.
So
But what I'm getting at
27
is this is not our bay's restoration. I know everybody thinks that, oh, they just went out there, they just did a pilot, this is a bigger pilot study. These are pocketed little, there's no material been put down here. It's all been put right in that one area of Cat Point, and the reason why is because that area is predominantly better at producing oysters on average, because you never know what the variables might be down here on the west end. Might be too salty. That's the place right there where they can get the best feedback, and the feedback they're getting is going to justify getting future funding to start putting more material elsewhere. So this is not a total restoration. This is just still a pilot study. So we got to keep that in mind too. So people quit poaching them oysters.
That would help.
We need that data, and he can't get the data if he's gone.
No,
So-
you can't. Well, like you're talking about too, Commissioner Emerson, so you got the receipts for the screenshots. I got a receipt I want to share with the board. I was the one that was able to, as the current chair at that time, to sit in that FWC meeting when they closed the bay. And part of their motion was they were gonna open it up again in 5 years, which is January 1st, 2026. Now, as far as the way they gotta do it or what all they gotta work out, sounds like they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
But
you
I'm
have
still,
to.
I'm always going to, as a resident in this community, and commissioner on this board, push for them to hold to their timeline that they gave the people. As far as limited entry, I mean, I get it to some extent, it's already gonna be limited. I mean, I don't know 3 or 4 people in this whole county that is able to build a boat like people have traditionally used to oyster. I don't know but 1 or 2 people in this county that can build tongue heads and tongue handles. There just ain't that many. A lot of them are no longer with us. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it's going to be limited entry. But if you're gonna limit the entry, I think they need to decide, this is my own personal opinion, which one they wanna do. If they want to limit the catch, that's one thing. If they want to limit entry, that's another thing. I don't think they need to be limiting every aspect of harvesting.
I think what they're, to answer that, obviously they've got to limit the amount of oysters that's harvested off the bar. I mean, if you've got a bar out there that's got, if you don't have that cutoff, then you're just gonna deplete the bar. We'll be right back where we were.
Yeah.
The thing about the limited entry, why it's being brought up is they're trying to find a way to make this a viable living for someone. If you got, that's I've had them same thoughts about how many people's actually gonna come back and go back to work on the water. But just, if you throw caution to the wind with no, and then you get an influx of people, when everybody goes out and catches 10 bags a year, they hadn't made a living.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? So that's what they're trying to keep that in mind too.
Yeah, well, you also got to, so if you're just gonna go by catch history, then you're gonna have nobody new added to that system. Because if you don't have any catch history, you can't become an oysterman even though you want to.
And that's where
You know what I
my
mean?
heartburn's been with the whole
That's a
limited
problem.
entry thing.
Yeah, that's a problem, because, so are they looking at doing something like they have with the crabbing? So currently with crabbing, it's limited to a certain amount of license, and I'm not saying I'm advocating for it, I'm just trying to talk through
No,
it.
we discussed that.
So
but you can
it's
go
limited
ahead.
to a certain amount of license, but I wanna make sure everybody else knows
Yeah.
what we're talking about. And if you have a license and I want to become a blue crab, fisherman, then I can buy your license from you, but it requires, state law requires I have to work so many hours with you on the boat to kind of learn the industry.
Like an apprenticeship
Like an
program.
apprenticeship. But there are only so many licenses out there. So if somebody, if they were to go with a model like that, then if you were oystering and I want to oyster and you act like you're wanting to get out of it, then I have an avenue forward. All I'm saying is, whatever they come up with, there needs to be a way to license people that have been in the industry. And there also needs to be a way to add new people to the industry. Both of it needs to be thought of.
And that's been discussed. And,
Yeah.
and the thing about that is we're talking about a 26.
Oh, yeah.
Now, obviously, they're gonna have to start somewhere.
Yep.
Now, and then that would be like a 27, where
Yeah.
we had this much, we
Yes.
got this much, showing that we've got this much
Yes.
coming back. Now we'll issue a few
Yeah.
more permits or license, and then they can
Yeah.
do it that way. But I don't think coming out the gate
Yeah.
that they're gonna be able to answer every, I guess, every need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just That's just me thinking to myself most of the time, but now I'm thinking with you
You're
guys.
not gonna be able to.
But I
No,
mean,
it's
there's,
gonna be tough.
yeah, because you gotta realize you still got that limited area, really, that's been, had any material put on it,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, if we wanna run down this rabbit hole, I can tell you, shelling, we gotta figure out a way to,
Yes.
you know, well, when I say we, they are gonna have to figure out a way to do that,
To
you know?
replace it. Some of
And,
the-
and we're having these
some of the-
discussions.
Some of our other Gulf states require that shell or that material goes back on the bar.
Yeah, but the only problem there, and you know this, is that we're primarily a shell stock product.
Right.
In other words, our oysters are just, so people know what me and Commissioner Jones is talking about, is our product goes into a box in the shell and it leaves. It don't come back. It goes to an oyster bar in Georgia. It goes to an oyster bar in Tallahassee, somewhere like that. We don't shuck Apalachicola oysters for meat. Our oyster houses around here shuck primarily Louisiana because it's a big old fat fresh oyster that tastes awful raw, so they fry it, you know. And just they don't shuck Apalachicola, so you can't sit there and say, hey, look, we wanna get those shells back because them shells are gone. So now myself have been looking at the concrete,
Yes.
which is showing phenomenal numbers. The oysters are growing crazy on a little piece of concrete, and the great thing about concrete is there's an abundance of it. Landfills are full of it.
Yep.
We got,
Our
you know,
landfill's
kills a
full of it.
lot of birds right there. You
Yep.
know, you got a recycle aspect, and you put it back in, using it. So that's some discussion, where there's a lot of discussion being done. But I just wanted to really, I know we kind of got out there with
Oh,
it,
you're
but when the FWC does show up, those are really the high points that we need to be talking about is the data that they're gonna be presenting to the commission. Because again, that's where that's gonna be the amount they're gonna allow you to harvest. And then we need to, the limited entry. I mean, it's gonna be a thing. I don't know what the face is gonna look like.
Yeah.
They do, or they don't yet, according to them. They want feedback. I know the partnership's gonna have their feedback. This commission's gonna have its feedback. So that's just giving you some food for thought.
I just wanna make sure that FWC will do what they need to do to make sure that everybody has a chance of being able to oyster. Because if you go by how many tickets they get, you may not have nobody in our local area doing that. But anyway, I'm gonna look at I just said that, you know, a few years back when the bay basically died is what I called it. I just pray that the bay will flourish again and make bunches of money for people that worked on that water.
It will. I mean, you know, it's amazing at what that material's already starting to grow.
Yes.
I mean, within the month and a half that they put it out, I had pictures and they were, you know, I hate to say it like this, but all the biologists like, oh, look at that, wow. And us locals like, we told you, you know,
Yes.
put something out there. I said, throw a damn boot out there.
That's what
It'll
I'm
grow
ta-
in
that's
order.
what I'm-
The thing
that's
is,
what
we
I'm
need
talking
material. Yeah,
about.
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The locals here know what it takes to run that bay. And when you I'm not one of these for all the government in it. I don't like a lot of government, you know, in certain things. But the government is the only people that has any money nowadays.
I mean, the ones that's feeding the fire, so to speak, with that,
Yeah.
because that's where all the funding's coming.
Yeah,
This
that's
is a
what I'm
federal,
saying.
this is mainly
That's
a
what I'm
federal
saying.
funded thing.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you all this, and over the last couple of years since I've been involved with that more, I have seen something that's kind of made me smile and amazed me a little bit, is that you've got the scientists who are doctors, and they know everything that book's got to say about an oyster, and then I've got people I've known since I was big enough to run around, and they know everything about the reality of oyster and how the oysters grow in a more real environment, not a textbook.
Yes.
But seeing both of them start to kind of, you know, because I believe this side is learning something that this side's got, and this side's starting to learn something over here, and it's kind of me sitting there going, wow, you know, I just want to get up there and hold an olive branch and say, we finally starting to get a little bit of peace here.
Yeah.
But it is, no, honestly, I think everybody on both sides is learning a little bit.
Yes.
And it's been, I ain't gonna say fun, but it's been enjoyable.
So out of all this, and it being a pilot project, then what they're gonna come back and do is a recommendation for a full-fledged bay restoration.
The reality of that is,
off this pilot.
I don't think that they're gonna get a full, it's gonna come in stages. So you need to keep having that positive data to keep getting that funding, you know, and that's the way it's gonna work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not realistic to think that you're gonna be able to get the funding to go and put material from dry bar, the miles all the way back. You know, it just ain't, it's not reality.
I mean, you had viable bars for years, all the way up to Porter's Bar.
Yes.
And for years, and that you don't even talk about that no more. You don't even talk about Porter's Bar no more.
Now, I will tell you, just some of the stuff that I've been calling Louisiana, I've been calling Alabama. You know, in Alabama, they had put that big material out.
Yeah.
Well, Alabama still had enough, I guess, they had enough commercial industry, they had enough political pull where they went back, pulled that material out, put the smaller material in, and that happened. Now, if that would have happened here, if they would put that 10 to 15 inch material, we don't, in Florida, don't have a strong enough commercial backbone, so to speak, for the state, it would have stayed there. Again, the size of material was fine with everybody a year ago. But anyway, the thing about that, they still want to put that bigger material out. Not that, from what I've gathered with all the people I've talked to along the coast, is that the fisheries divisions of the states, FWC, I forgot what some of the other ones are, but they want to put that out there for like fishing reasons. And that's what they're just creating fish. Yeah, to grow oysters, but that's not harvestable oyster. Not a way you can harvest it commercially, but it will attract species. It helps the ecosystem out. It doesn't matter what size the material is, it's going to help the ecosystem out. But my thing is, if you want to put that bigger material out, put them on the coon bars.
Yes.
The coon bars has always been where that plays a huge role in putting spat into the bay.
Yes.
You know, you can't, you know this, and y'all know, you can't go eat oysters off a coon bar.
You cannot, not unless you want to get sick.
Yeah, unless, you can sit on the toilet for about a month afterwards, but I'm just saying, that's where you need to put this bigger material. Put the big material out there. Now you're helping the ecosystem, you're attracting fish. People can go up there and fish along the coon bars, just like we always did in the past. But if you want to put that big material out, put it up there, you know. Go up here ahead of the bay, north of the bridge, where you can oyster.
Yes.
Put the bigger material there. Create sanctuaries like that. If you want to have a sanctuary that puts spat in the bay, do it in areas that's already closed that you can't harvest.
So they decided
regardless.
to keep north of the bridge permanently closed.
Oh, I'm sure. But I mean, when have you ever really been able to harvest it without DACs being able, they going over there and shutting it down because of water quality?
But I definitely.
Just
put
like
some
out
on the
here by
deck
the
out there
river.
before.
Well, I'm sure you have,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying.
I know off the mouth of Carabel River, there's a big coon bar there.
Yeah.
Yeah, big coon bar. out there.
Has it got any oysters on it?
Yeah.
It does right now?
Yeah.
Are you doing a lot better than we are down here?
Yeah.
Because our coon bars
Right
are
off
gone.
the river.
But now I
We're
will
right
tell you
off the
this, in these discussions, there were some programs where they were relocating those oysters when we first started having a problem. They were taking oysters off the coon bars and going out and putting them into the bay, and well, now we don't have nothing on there. You know, so.
Yeah, there's areas in this bay that don't have any, it's like this tabletop.
Oh, I know.
There's nothing, I mean, it's sand.
Oh, I know.
It's not even mud anymore.
I'll tell you, and I'm
Which
gonna
is
wrap it
weird.
up because I think we're losing our crowd.
Mhm.
But me and my dad went casting that. We went down there to serve big survey and all down on the West Pass, and I remember 20 years ago, he'd be, "Nah, don't throw that net, right? You're gonna tear my net up." Well, I went to throw, and he was like, "Oh, you gonna tear my net up?" I said, "Nah, there ain't nothing here. It's just sand now." And he said, "I can't believe you didn't just wrap that net all around a coon bar, and it ain't there." I said, no, it ain't there, it's just sand.
That's wild.
He said, how you know? I said, I done run over and hit with my prop enough, I know. But yeah, it's amazing that it.
Is some of that due to the dredging that needs to take place in that?
I don't know, you know, everybody's got an opinion.
Oh,
on-
trust me, they do.
On what happened. I tell people all the time, it was a perfect storm.
Yes.
You didn't have any state accountability. Every FWC officer was running around looking for oil.
Yep.
And everybody that wasn't on the VOO program was hauling stuff out of here, and that oystermen can say what they want, but they was hauling little oysters like that. And they were going straight to Fox Industries in Texas, and they was planting them out there. That's why Texas oysters look just like an Apalachicola oyster, because that's where they went. That's my opinion. Everybody's got one, but mine's right.
Yeah. Well, it's good, there you go. It's good for us to have this discussion though, because this really is the only time we can do it. And it's better for us to have this kind of discussion
But
today
it going back,
ahead of FWC coming back.
and
So-
then going back to that perfect storm, you gotta also realize what was taking place. We was in a drought. You had that BP, you had all that pressure. We didn't have any flows coming down. I mean, if there was the perfect time for something to collapse, that was it.
I remember when it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and coinciding with that drought was at the same time that DAX decided to stop holding shells over here. They
Oh,
they sold all the equipment.
That had already started way
They-
back.
Yeah,
they
but
let it go
it transpired in that same
Yeah.
time the drought happened though, 2011,
And then they
2012.
lift all the restrictions and regulations,
Yes.
just let people
Look,
go
the
out
worst
there.
thing that ever happened in this bay is whenever the Department of Natural Resources dissolved. And you know, we didn't have the force, I'm not kicking anybody in the past, I don't even think I was old enough to vote at the time. I might have been, but didn't care to vote. But I'm just saying that, when they dissolved the DNR that we had, Florida Department of Natural Resources, and that's when that shelling program went away.
It did.
I mean, because they were primarily focused on our shellfish program. And then it went to DAX, and it went split up between DAX, well, primarily DAX, and they didn't want that nightmare, you know, and it just kinda got put to the
Shuffled
side,
around.
put to the side.
Shuffled
But that was the downfall as far as my experience, with it, is whenever the DNR dissolved, that's when our bay was on its death spiral.
Well,
And it was a long one, but it finally got there. But
I'll ask you one more question, cause you're still in the industry. Some of the rest of us might have been involved in their lifetime, we're not in the industry anymore. Doesn't Texas and Louisiana require, say like if we buy shell stock from them, don't we have to haul it back to them to take their shells back?
certain companies do, primarily in Louisiana and in Texas, but, like a lot of these shells, like you see right here, right outside this building, every one of them shells has gotta go back. Now, I spoke with another dealer, and she's a little hot-headed sometimes, which I love her to death. But she said, when I buy a bag of oysters, I buy everything in that
Everything in the bag.
It ain't
Yeah,
going
yeah.
back
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
But a lot of the companies are getting to the point now, because of the demand on it, is either you don't send it back to me, I'll sell it to somebody else. So that some of them are having to say, okay, we'll send the oyster shells back,
So
and they're
we
going
could do
back
the
out.
same thing?
Yeah, but the thing about that is this is coming from a dealer to process.
Right.
What we have is, this is going out the oyster, raw bars.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Nobody's processing
Yeah.
it outside of
Well,
giving it to the end consumer.
It probably won't be very popular, but just a thought. while we're
Now,
talking
there
about
are some
this.
programs.
Yeah.
There is some, shell cat, or I forgot what they call it, but where they're talking with some oyster bars, and they're getting, but it's on the bigger picture, it's not enough.
It's gonna be hard to deal with the logistics of that. So it probably won't be very popular, but just thinking through ideas, cause we're talking here today. I mean, when you open it up, what would prevent us from at least trying to think of or come up with a way that our brand, we have a great brand, we have great oyster. If you want it, come to Franklin County and see us, that's where to be served at. Our restaurants, our bars, our raw bars. You won't be buying any more Apalachicola oysters out in Texas, you'll be coming to Franklin County to get them.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that would work or not. I mean, what you want to do is you want to reach that bigger market, because that's what's gonna grow it back. You gotta get it.
Shells.
Well, I feel like it's not so much the shell.
Yeah.
There's other material that we can use, you know what I
Fair
mean?
enough.
Actually, I spoke with Mr. Abrams, and they're doing a concrete shelling program out
In
there.
Louisiana?
Yeah.
Yep.
And when I say shelling, they're going out there on viable bars and they're just putting smaller pieces of concrete to grow oysters. And it's working.
It is working.
Yeah.
So Travis Huckabee sent me a picture of the mound that they have out there in Louisiana they were using to put on bars with the concrete, and almost really much bigger than a golf ball.
Yeah.
But they put it through a machine, and you know what I mean? It seems to be working really well.
Yeah, and they even have like the skimmer shrimp boats, the butterflies, and they're going around skimming for any type of plastic debris that was in. Yeah. But now, I mean, the programs are going on.
Yeah.
But we're just in the, the primary stages of it, so we got to, as a commission, just if I'm asking you guys, try to stay, really focused on those two major topics right there, because that's where we're at with FWC and so forth.
Okay, sounds good. Any other discussion or commissioner comments before we adjourn? Have a meeting 2 weeks from today. Meeting adjourned.